Sorry, I am late. It's just, wee. I'm trying to get my ear full. I am trying to get my ear full. Because when I say it's a lot going on, so now we need to listen.
Congressman, thanks for joining me. Thank you. Well, first of all, congratulations on getting this thing through the House, through the Senate.
Oh, okay. Hey, T-Sippers. Hey.
In the Senate.
It's a lot going on. A couple of things we need to listen to before we jump head first into what Candace got going on. Respectfully. Because trying to make sure that there's nothing that I think Trump may be trying to pull a fast one over our eyes. Let's listen.
Foremost, is there anything that you anticipate Donald Trump doing to kind of weasel his way out of signing this bill?
No, he said he's going to sign it. I expect him to sign it. It's a huge historic day for survivors. We are going to hold the Epstein class accountable. Jeffrey Epstein set up a rape island, over 1,000 victims. The survivors spoke so movingly today, talking about being raped and abused at the age of 14, 15. Finally, they're going to have justice. And, finally, Brian, Congress found its spine. We don't have to be supine and supplicants to Donald Trump. We're a co-equal branch of government. And you know what happens when we build interesting coalitions and stand up? Then we don't surrender to Donald Trump. Donald Trump surrenders to us. His entire power is based on intimidation and preemptive compliance. And today I hope we've showed that Congress is capable of taking the fight to Donald Trump and winning, and that we actually have power to stand up to this president.
Did you have any concern prior to the bill passing by unanimous consent in the Senate? Did you have any concern that Mike Johnson was laying the foundation to be able to say, okay, well, look, it passed the House, but certainly some things that need to be changed once this thing gets into the Senate. We have to, and we had spoken about this last time, this idea that we have to offer up more protections for the survivors and on. And then, of course, that would give the Senate the opportunity to maybe put some poison pill in that wouldn't pass the House. Just gum up the works, basically. So did you have any concern about the prospect of that happening? And then what was your reaction to the fact that
he got whooped pretty bad today
to Mike Johnson's demands and just passed it and allowed Chuck Schumer to pass it anyway?
I got to tell you, Donald Trump hung Mike Johnson out to dry. No one looked worse today than Mike Johnson. I mean, first he gets 427 members voting for a bill that he's opposed. He himself votes for a bill that he opposed. And then he's desperately trying to slow it down in the Senate. And Toon says, no, we're not going to upset so many Americans and be on the wrong side of survivors. So they pass it and defy him. I mean, he's basically totally ineffective at this point, and he looks bitter and angry, and Donald Trump now is going to sign it. So this is showing how you build a coalition.
I think they're trying to come up with a way. If he hasn't signed it already.
Extremism.
The number one question that I've been getting as I've been, as I live streamed the House vote, for example, is how can we trust whatever comes out of Pam Bondi's DOJ, that if Donald Trump is going to sign this bill, there's no way that he's going to just relinquish all of his power, release the Epstein files in full. And so how can you have some confidence, some trust in whatever comes out of Pam Bondi's office, that it's the real thing?
Well, first of all, we know what is in these files. We know that they're rich and powerful men who abuse these women. How do we know? Because I've talked to survivors, lawyers who've seen the files. So, I've talked to survivors who know what's in some of these files.
Yeah.
And we have independent documents coming from the Epstein estate. So if they play games.
Okay. So they know who's in the files. Whew, that's helpful. I mean, okay. So they know who is in the files. So that means that whatever little game they try to play, Are y'all here? I don't even know if y'all here. I don't see no movement. Uh, I need some movement. Give me some ones or some something. Okay, thank you. Okay, so they know who's in the files. So if they try to play a game or remove some people, because that young lady said they have the list. They've been having the list. Told y'all it was a list. So they know. Okay, I can keep listening to this one. Let's go.
I've been, as I live streamed the House vote, for example, is how can we trust whatever comes out of Pam Bondi's DOJ, that if Donald Trump is going to sign this bill, there's no way that he's going to just relinquish all of his power, release the Epstein files in full. And so how can you have some confidence, some trust in whatever comes out of Pam Bondi's office, that it's the real thing?
Well, first of all, we know what is in these files. We know that they're rich and powerful men who abuse these women. How do we know? Because I've talked to survivors, lawyers who've seen the files.
Hey,
I've talked to
Naturally
survivors
Norland
who know what's in some of
and
these files.
Serendipity.
And we have independent documents coming from the Epstein estate. So if they play games, we will be able to call them out on that. There are also former Justice Department officials who've seen the files. Second, now it is going to become a criminal offense for a Justice Department career official not to
Somebody
release these
got a
files.
copy.
So it's no longer Pam Bondi or Donald Trump, and you're thinking, are you upsetting them or not? Now you have a law that Congress has passed. And if you're overseeing the reporting to Congress or the release of these files, you're going to think twice about what if there's a President Gretchen Whitmer in 2029? Do I really want to take the risk of breaking the law? Do I really want to take the risk of being hauled in front of Congress when Robert Garcia is the chair of the Oversight Committee? So this law, I think people don't understand what a big deal it is. It's not some kind of resolution or we'd like you to release the files. This is saying it is a law of the United States signed by the President of the United States that you must release these files. And if you don't, you're in contempt of Congress and subject to criminal prosecution.
Is there a world? I mean, we have seen the extent to which Trump is willing to abuse the pardon power. And so if somebody is charged with a federal crime, for example, don't they just have Trump as a backstop to be able to, offer him up a get out of jail free card if he wants to?
Yes, that's why I'm for getting rid of the constitutional power of pardon. We should have a constitutional amendment to get rid of the pardon power. Trump has abused it terribly. Frankly, I think other presidents have abused it in the past. But the issue here is it's going to be very hard to prosecute some of these people who abused girls. I mean, it was years ago. I'm not saying obviously there should be prosecution if the evidence rises to it. But one thing that we should do is hold them accountable. They shouldn't be naming buildings after them. They shouldn't be sitting on boards of corporations. They shouldn't be teaching at prestigious places. They need to be held accountable. And that, I think, will happen based on this release.
If, for example, there is some suspected nefarious behavior regarding the release of these files, would it also be possible to bring someone like Maureen Comey, who was the assistant U.S. attorney, who was involved in this whole Epstein process, to come and testify before Congress?
Nice. DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to Missouri. You'll be so dialed into every play that you forget to eat your wings. You may even
Lord.
moment is trying to start.
Thank you, Serendipity. I'm just now seeing it. I see it now naturally, Nolans. I was over here looking at other stuff. Y'all ain't heard nothing I said. Lord have mercy. Yeah, I think they trying to pull a stunt. As I was saying earlier, I think that although they wanted, he really didn't. And now I think they're trying to find loopholes. So before we go into what we're listening, I need to try to see what's going on. Because a bunch of moving parts. And I think that they're trying to say, hold on.
We definitely had dirt on Trump. As you can see in the emails, Trump can deny it all he wants, but it's pretty clear. I mean, everything Trump says is the
But that's not what you were talking about.
An hour later saying Trump Tower. Okay, so not...
It's a bunch of stuff
One,
going on.
victim privacy does not adequately protect victims.
And they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester.
Some about, they don't want, I don't think they also don't want people to know, really know that,
So that's something we're talking
oh,
about.
girl
A lot
used to be
by
with
the time this video probably comes
Epstein.
out, the files will have been voted on by probably majority of Congress to pass for the Epstein files to be released.
They don't
But
want
now,
people to know that they
Yeah.
used to have a
Donald Trump is
thing.
sued them, and they were.
So-
Melania met Trump through Epstein.
That's coming
and then
out,
Melania
y'all.
was actually Epstein's lover. Now this is put into a book, and I'm going to tell you.
It's coming out. Oh, I'm coming out. I want the world to know I slept with Epstein. What? I'm coming out. It's all coming out. It is all coming out. One big, nasty, funky human trafficking, child trafficking orgy. Yeah, let me stop there. Sharing. I mean, I used to say that Diddy and Trump and Epstein, they all under the same pyramid. It's just that Diddy kind of did his a little different. And Epstein liked sharing. And he liked, passing people around. You understand? So that male dancer turned hookers. And, he liked seeing him sleeping with, I don't know. But sharing was an issue. That was okay. As long as they knew that they had been sharing, or I guess. It's no loopholes. I don't think so either. But they are really trying because they really don't want all the dirt. It's coming out that he done licked the lollipop and all of that type of stuff. And so I told y'all that that he had her and she was the big chick. It's just funny to me because y'all be having first-hand stuff. Y'all just don't be realizing it. That y'all be ahead of the game. I like him. Let me hear him.
I genuinely
I'm
believe
sorry
that
I
Donald
had
Trump
it,
is losing a lot of momentum and a lot of power within his own base.
The volume
We
on.
saw multiple blocks of Republicans across the country, both in federal Congress and in the Indiana State Senate, rebuke Donald Trump or directly defect against his wishes. In Congress, we saw Republicans in the House and now the Senate, according to the news, the Senate just voted to release the files, vote against Donald Trump's will. Trump
I
has
told
spent
y'all
the past 4
earlier
months
that they
lobbying
said
against the release of the
Melania-
Epstein files, although
Melania
he'll
was
say
just
that
as
he
bad
wanted them
as
released. It's obviously
Maxwell.
a lie. He did not want them released. Yet Republicans still voted against him. Just today, you saw Indiana state senators double down and say, we are not going to redistrict and gerrymander our states. And then right after that, you saw
Indiana.
a federal judge appointed by Donald Trump vote down the redistricting gerrymandered map of Texas. Loss after loss after loss, but it's not only about the actual tangible court losses, it's about the loss of power within the MAGA movement. Because when Donald Trump loses elections, like the special election that we just saw, and
y'all hear that? You remember in the live before this, I made mention on the target on his back. He's a target. I'm gonna tell you that now. He's a target. He, at this point, he really is of no use to his base. He done lied about everything. Plus, he done got caught stealing. Plus these Epstein files. Then he a pickle eater, picklegate, and then Holanya, baby.
the midterms coming up, and realizes that he does not have the Republican base wrapped around his finger in the way that he once did, then Republican senators, Republican congressmen, and women will be more incentivized to break from Donald Trump and to moderate. If you don't believe me, just look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, obviously we don't agree with her on most things. I don't really like Marjorie Taylor Greene, but what she's doing lately has been a savvy political move. By distancing herself from the Trump administration and actually successfully starting a feud with Donald Trump, she may have elongated her political chances because she saw that, I guess for the lack of better wording, MAGA is a sinking ship, and she wanted to dive off of the sinking ship before it hits the bottom of the ocean. She may have successfully done it. I guess time will tell. Sources say she has higher political ambitions in the state of Georgia. So just what I'm trying to say is many Republicans will begin to jump ship, begin to dip from Donald Trump's political coalition, and he will lose power. We are also seeing desperate power grabs from Trump in the form of wars. Then he might start with Venezuela. We have been mobilizing some huge carrier ships near Venezuela to intimidate them. Then Secretary of State Marco Rubio recently reclassified Maduro, the leader of Venezuela, as a terrorist. He is now legally a terrorist, meaning the United States can legally take him out. I'm not saying that this is a good or bad thing. I'm just saying that Donald Trump, in the current moment, is trying to start a war with Venezuela, which could serve as a distraction. While all of this is happening as well, Donald Trump is reversing a lot of his largest tariff policies. I mean, I'm painting a picture of an admin that is in disarray, but he is reversing his largest tariff policies. We are currently seeing the tariffs on beef, the tariffs on other countries being backtracked by Donald Trump after months of cockiness and overconfidence and saying, trust the plan, and 90 deals in 90 days. Apparently, U.S. consumers do pay the tariff. I mean, we knew that on the show, but now we're seeing rising prices. Now we are seeing Donald Trump's tariffs backfiring. And as prices raise for the American consumer, as they realize Donald Trump is more preoccupied.
Now, this is not it. Baby, hold on. What is this over here? I mean, no. Yeah, okay, no. Hold on. Woo, when I say it's too much going on right now, it's a lot going on. Hold on. And this ain't even what I'm trying to talk about. Hold on now. I just don't want to get hold on. So, has he been cheating in the East Wing room? Have y'all heard anything about him? He done got busted. He got his own Monica Lewinsky. Who is this, y'all? Hi, Renee. I think Melania was underage when all of these affairs was happening. So, is that why Ivanka divorced him? Marla came after his first wife. Yeah, Melania wasn't his second wife. She his third. And yes, he was cheating with Marla. I think when she was pregnant with the youngest son or something like that, I guess. Who is this? I know he ain't been cheating in the White House. Let's hear this, Lord. It's just, oh my God. Oh, he done.
What I'm about to tell you is absolutely nuts, but
The
probably
assistant.
not
Yep.
shocking knowing what we know about Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump is someone who has never been faithful. Donald Trump has cheated on all 3 of his wives. Trump had an affair with Marla Maples, with his first wife, Ivana. That would lead to a second marriage with Marla Maples. While still married to Marla Maples, he, had an affair with Melania Trump. And of course, we all know that Donald Trump had multiple instances of fun outside of the marriage, especially with Stormy Daniels, famously. Well, that's what brings us to Madeleine Westerhout. Through new allegations that have come out that say that Donald Trump may have been doing a lot with his then assistant in the White House, who was 28 at the time.
Yeah,
Donald
it's
Trump
just all
allegedly
coming out.
told his friends he was, quote, banging his 28-year-old White House assistant, a prominent author claimed to Jeffrey Epstein. Michael Wolff, who has written several
Oh,
books and
Wolf know
articles
it.
about Trump, made the claim in a draft of a portion of a book shared with the pedophile financier and in 2019 emails. So this is all coming out. There's 20,000 emails. This is one of the emails that this was a story that was written and was sent to Epstein to review. I don't know why a journalist would be sending their story to someone they were covering to review. That's a side issue, but still, maybe in some ways we're glad he did because the story is now coming out. Now, Ms. Westerhout has replied to this, and I will give you that reply in just a moment, but as I said, the email was released as part of the 23,000 document trove of communications and papers handed to Congress by
Yeah,
Epstein's estate. The draft
Wolf be
recalls
on
Trump's
point.
decision to spend the 2018 Christmas holiday at the White House rather than to camp with his family to Mar-a-Lago.
Y'all see this
First Lady
picture over
Melania
here?
Trump had already left for Florida, but did return briefly to spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day in D.C. But in text, which was edited to remove the identity
Why
of
you
the
say
aide
that,
in
Renee?
his
Oh,
2019 book Siege, Wolf claimed in an
Renee, why you say that? Come on, Renee. Come on. Please, please be prepared if you put something out there like that for me, if it's in the time, come on. Why you say that? I'm trying to understand your mindset. I think he's having an affair. Okay, but you said I doubt that he was or is having an affair with her. And I asked you why you say that, and you put, I think he's having an affair. So what are you saying? Why are you saying that you don't think that he had an affair with his assistant? Oh, okay. Yeah, because, I consider who he getting it from. And he done wrote and he done said with Trump. So, if Wolf been on point. So that's why I was trying to see where you was going.
At the time. Donald Trump allegedly told his friends he was, quote, banging his 28-year-old White House assistant, a prominent author claimed to Jeffrey Epstein. Michael Wolff, who has written several books and articles about Trump, made the claim in a draft of a portion of a book shared with the pedophile financier in a 2019 email. So this is all coming out. There's 20,000 emails. This is one of the emails
20,000.
that this was a story that was written and was sent to Epstein to review. I don't know why a journalist would be sending their story to someone they were covering to review. That's a side issue.
But he likes bragging.
In some ways, we're glad he did because the story is
Thank
now
you,
coming
Renee.
out. Now,
He
Ms.
likes bragging.
Westerhout has replied to this, and I will
Thank you
give
for the
that reply
jewels,
in just a moment.
the
But
flowers.
as I said, the email was released as part of the 23,000 document trove of communications and papers handed to Congress by Epstein's estate. The draft recalls Trump's decision to spend the 2018 Christmas holiday at the White House rather than to camp with his family to Mar-a-Lago. First Lady Melania Trump had already left for Florida, but did return briefly to spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day in D.C. But in text, which was edited to remove the identity of the aide in his 2019 book Siege, Wolff claimed in an empty White House, Trump's personal secretary, 28-year-old Madeleine Westerhout, brought his papers and call sheets from the West Wing up to the residence, finding him, she told friends, in his underwear. Jesus. Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, I did not need that image. No.
The,
Miss
the,
Westerhout.
the shitty ones?
God, I mean, I feel like she should sue. Miss Westerhout was a longtime member of Trump's staff and the former elevator attendant at Trump Tower during the transition. The draft reads, quote, Bannon recalled noting that Trump took a particular interest in her. Alluring Trump kept repeating, she's got a way about her, his signature and creepy stamp of approval for young women. Now the president was telling friends that he wasn't staying at the White House because of the shutdown. He was staying because he was banging Madeline. Shutdown bravado, locker room talk.
Oh, recently? What shut down?
Alternative reality.
Hold on.
He seemed to be living in.
No, hold on. What shut down?
Because of the shutdown. He was staying because he was banging Madeline. Alluring Trump kept repeating, she's got a way about her, his signature and creepy stamp of approval for young women. Now the president was telling friends that he wasn't staying at the White House because of the shutdown. He was staying because he was banging Madeline. Shutdown bravado, locker room talk, or all part of a new alternative reality that only he seemed to be living in. Through her lawyer, Ms. Westerhout said, these are absurd and defamatory accusations from a discredited writer who has been known to peddle falsehoods. The lies in this email are unhinged from reality and simply not true. In the 2020 book entitled Off the Record, Ms. Westerhout recounts her sacking from the White House staff after she made indiscreet comments to reporters of the president's family, but it makes no mention of a relationship between her and the president. The book does say, I must give a special thanks to President Trump. More than 2.5 years I spent sitting outside the Oval Office were the most exciting of my life. I wish everyone could get to know him the way I did. Oh.
She know him in ways that no one else knows him.
Own amulet for protection.
Ooh-wee.
Office were the most exciting of my life. I wish everyone could get to know him the way I did. Oh. Oh, really? They would never doubt how much he loves this country. President Trump has branded the release of the file as a hoax and a scam. Again, I mean, I'm going to say this every time it's brought up. They're a hoax and a scam. Only he's now directing the Attorney General to go after the Democrats who are in the files. He's calling it a Democratic hoax and a scam, but the files are real when they're talking about the Democrats, but not when they're talking about Trump. Caroline Leavitt said that these stories are nothing more than bad faith efforts to distract from President Trump's historic accomplishments, and any American with common sense sees right through this hoax and clear distraction from the government opening back up again. So again, I mean, this is probably not an unusual thing for us to be hearing, that Donald Trump may have been doing that with someone that worked for him when he's married. That is kind of what Donald Trump does.
That's true.
And I don't know whether or not those allegations are...
It's all coming out now.
As I'm sure you know in your own personal life, the things you are willing to say to someone you know when you think the conversations are private are more likely to be truthful than the things that you say in public, knowing that everyone can hear it. So to me, the fact that this information is being discussed in an email that was intended to be private, to me gives it more legitimacy than if it were kind of said in a public statement or broke into the news in a way so that someone could garner attention. So I don't know whether or not that's true or not, but I think it's really another example, too, of why Donald Trump doesn't want these files to be released. Because clearly there's a lot of information out there about him. He was close to Epstein. We don't know how deeply connected he was to the crimes that Epstein committed, but it's just... if he were innocent, it's as simple as this. If he were innocent, he'd want the files to be released. He'd say, release them all, but he's not doing that. And that means something. We already did a video on this. I want to just show you again in case you didn't see that one. I think this is very interesting. There's all these books coming out. Now, there was a book that came out about Epstein and Melania. And Melania and Donald Trump forced the publisher to delete this story from the book, even though 60,000 books were already printed. And the author is so sure about the facts around the story that he's saying it in public even though it's not printed. And here's what he had to say about how Melania and Epstein were actually lovers.
So here we are with him in Mar-a-Lago, as you see with Epstein. Sorry, can you see okay? Epstein, a woman called Gwendolyn Beck, who Andrew took to the island, and Melania. I had various references in my book to Melania Trump. Epstein had actually been her lover before Trump, but Trump didn't like that in the book, so he ordered it to be taken out of the book after about 60,000 copies had been printed. So it seemed to be a pretty pointless gesture, but anyway, our publishers did it, but I keep spreading the word.
Yeah. So I was gonna say too, these are just not good people. None of them. No one comes across looking good in any of this. Melania, Epstein, Trump, anyone connected in this circle. I just think it's a bunch of
freaks.
Unsophisticated.
Freakazoids. 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 Oh, okay. Dang it! What time is it? Why did I work so late today? I may have to come back and fall asleep with y'all. Ooh, I don't know if I'm having enough juice. Y'all not gonna understand this because y'all wasn't up with me last night at the Grove. Do y'all know something about a movie? Yeah, I may have to do it separate. I'm gonna do it separate. Let's go ahead and listen to Candace, cause what is the name of it? What's this for? Yeah, Sapphire, she was passed around. Epstein had her first. She that check. She that big fake check for the depreciated woman. It's on your end, Samantha. If you can't hear it, I done fixed it on my end. So y'all know last night I was up late, and we was watching that, I didn't even send the little clippets. Bohemian Grove, yeah. So it's another spot that they are saying it was a movie. What time is it? Oh, hold on. And I haven't watched this, but I clicked it. Let me see. Where is it at? Hold on. This is too much going on. And I be trying to get it all. Do you hear me? Too many dots to connect. I be trying to get it. Let me see.
Right. Eyes Wide Shut is...
Eyes Wide Shut. Have y'all seen that movie? Eyes Wide Shut. Okay, so let's go over here. Eyes Wide Shut. Let's hear this. I ain't watching. I don't know what he's talking about. But I know it. Let's listen.
Emails from Jeffrey Epstein have just been leaked, leading journalists to admit that conspiracy theorists are right. Eyes Wide Shut is real. Personally, I've never watched the movie because of what I've heard about it. But if what Stanley Kubrick's final film shows might not have been fiction.
His final film.
What Stanley Kubrick's final film shows is real.
Why is it his final film? What happened to him? That seance stuff. That Bohemian Grove type stuff. That sacrificing stuff. Is that what this is about? Lord, they are demonic. Let's go. Let's start. Y'all hit the like button, please.
20,000 private emails from Jeffrey Epstein have just been leaked, leading journalists to admit that conspiracy theorists are right. Eyes Wide Shut is real. Personally, I've never watched the movie because of what I've heard about it. But if what Stanley Kubrick's final film shows might not have been fiction, but instead a warning. Meaning, the mass, the rituals, the gatherings, they're not just symbols, but a blueprint, something many have speculated all along. What exactly is going on behind the scenes? Who's pulling the strings? And what do they want? I want to know the truth. And so that's what we're going to do in this short video. We're going to see how this Epstein email dump proves the elite power circles that we've always thought existed and what this film shows, and how real politicians, world leaders, journalists, CEOs, all these cultural icons are connected in a network of corruption. And lastly, and most importantly, how we may be living in what the Bible calls Mystery Babylon, a global system of darkness rising right before our eyes. This isn't conspiracy, my friends. This is absolute documentation of what's going on. And I want to get into this together because we're connecting the dots. So if you like this content, help us out by hitting that like button. Let's get this out to more people and let's check it out. So the first thing I want to talk about is this article. You know, it's talking about how the movie Eyes Wide Shut may have not been a conspiracy at all, but may have been pointing to something that actually is true. And so for those that don't know much about Eyes Wide Shut, I want to share with you a little bit about what it's about. It's got Tom Cruise in it. It's got Nicole Kidman. Tom Cruise plays a doctor who is in this secret world stumbles into the secret world of secret societies, mass rituals, and elite sexual.
That's that style. Well,
I've only
I ain't
read
gonna say
summaries
that.
about it, but it's about these dangerous power structures. And the deeper that Tom gets into it, the more he realizes you don't want to cross these people that rule the world. So throughout the movie, there's key symbolism. For example, masks, they equal double identities. Rituals, elite corruption. Chanting, occult undertone, and surveillance everywhere, making you realize that the powerful are always watching you. And at the very end is sick. Two men who've been seen throughout the entire movie take a little girl away from her mom and dad and leading her off. Now, those people that watch Stanley Kubrick films, he doesn't do things on accident. He's basically saying that the children are the ultimate currency for the corrupt elite. Now, what makes this even more strange, before I share with you this Joe Rogan video I want to share with you, is, and also get in this article, is the fact that Stanley Kubrick died March 7th, 1999, literal 4 days after the first cut of his film in New England. And after he showed that, I've read that he got in an argument with the Warner Brothers about the film, and they were yelling at each other. And although he was in good spirits, had no failing health, was excited about the movie, he died 4 days later after he's yelling at these executives saying, "You can't cut my film." Well, strangely enough, after he was dead, 24 minutes of his movie disappeared. So what's behind this? What's behind this hierarchy of elite behind the cult? This child exploitation in the film? The power structures that are they modeled after real life scenarios? Let's check out this Joe Rogan clip, and then we're going to go ahead and read this article, because this is strange, my friends. This is very, very strange. First, Joe Rogan.
Kubrick was such an odd one. Like, his films were so different. And he was a weird guy, too. He did, like, complex mathematics in his spare time.
I do complex mathematics. Nothing wrong with that. No, yeah, he's a weird guy, but he was also, I think, thinking 3 steps ahead of everybody at any kind of given moment. I mean, to be honest, I was just thinking, I just pulled my script from Eyes Wide Shut. I had a script that was from set, and I was reading it over the weekend, and I saw that it has this, I mean, I've known this for a long time, but I started really thinking about it over the weekend. It's missing a narration. It's missing a third-person narration that was originally in the movie. That's because the movie was recut and changed after his death. And they will deny it. But as a student of Kubrick, I'm watching the movie and I'm like, oh, Kubrick wouldn't do that. Kubrick wouldn't do that either. Kubrick would have trimmed this scene.
I didn't know they recut it after his death.
Okay, so apparently
they finished.
Very odd.
Well, that's the party line.
That's a version,
That's the party line. But I think.
So what they're saying is, no, they finalized it and finished it after he was dead. But isn't it odd that he was having an argument with the Warner Brothers about the film and about them cutting it right before he died? He died 4 days later.
Even Lucifer.
4 days. Again, people are saying that he was revealing the truth to the public. What do you think?
They changed the notes, the close-ups, the inserts of the notes. I think those are changed. It's missing a narration. It's definitely missing a narration. A third-person narration. Like that scene where he sees the prostitute who's died. He's at the morgue and he's looking at her, and he's like leaning over her. It's a bed for narration. There's this whole thing. What they do instead, because they couldn't say that Kubrick finished the movie because they hadn't done the recording of the narrator yet, and so maybe they just kind of kludged it together. Except there's an entire
this is my first
thread
time hearing
that's kind
about
of been squashed in that film, and that's the two men that are throughout the movie that are constantly in the background of the film, who eventually, in the final shots of the film, you see like Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman in that final scene in the toy store when she's looking at the Rosemary's Baby bassinet, which is totally Kubrick saying something, and they never take their eyes off their daughter until the moment they take their eyes off and the final line of the movie is coming up. You see those two guys walking off with the daughter. They're taking her away. They've given their daughter to the pedo cult. That's what's happening at the end of the movie. And there's an incident where, when they first screened the movie in England, people who were outside, this is all secondhand, by the way. There were people who were outside of the theater who could hear inside of the theater Kubrick yelling at all the executives and saying, "It's my movie, you can't cut it. You can't. My film, blah, 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 blah." Big argument going on. Then he dies like 4 days later.
Oh, Jesus.
So somebody went in and finished the movie, but I think when they finished the movie, they hid the film.
That's what people have been saying for a long time. But now, after this email dump, it shows that the elite are not divided, but they are united in ideology and morality. And they operate as a club,
and
just like this movie showed. Like I said, people are trying to say that Stanley Kubrick was really trying to blow the lid off of what's actually going on behind the scenes, but doing it as fiction. Okay, so like I said, I want to know what you think, and then I'm going to share with you major names that are out of this. Let me share something with you real quick. I'm going to share with you this article right here that talks about this and about some big names that are connected to Epstein that you probably didn't even know about. And I want to share why it matters, because we've suspected for a long time that he was more connected than anyone ever thought. Like, he's not just a pedophile, but someone more important and very important for the controlling elites. So the shocking revelation in the trove of 20,000 emails from the sordid world of Jeffrey Epstein is not that the crimes were being committed. It's more sinister. They're more disturbing because they reveal, in fact prove, is that conspiracy theories are right, that their theories of full-on corruption in the upper spheres of power of the lives are valid. Spheres where power lives are valid. That the eyes wide shut cabal of political and financial interests married to sinister sexual deviance depicted in his film is not in fact fiction, it's reality. So here's an image from the movie.
Wow.
And let me just name some of the names that are in this article. First is Larry Summers. Larry Summers is a former Harvard president.
Scientology, yeah. I was going to say that earlier.
World Bank chief
when he
economist,
said Tom Cruise, I was going to say, ain't he into that?
Larry Summers.
Hold on. I'm trying to get this.
From the movie.
The seance stuff.
It's not in fact fiction. It's reality.
Tom Cruise.
So here's an image from the.
Yeah, because I didn't know nothing about the Zionist stuff, and I knew about the Scientology was weird, but I don't know if they practice the same thing. But okay, let's go.
Movie, and let me just name some of the names that are in this article. First is Larry Summers. Larry Summers is a former
this is the one that resigned today, yesterday.
U.S. Treasury Secretary, former World Bank chief economist, and one of the most connected financial minds on the planet. And in these emails, it shows that he sought Epstein's approval, complained to Epstein about women, and treated Epstein as a confidant. This is a man who helped shape U.S. economic policy, and he was cozied up against a convicted pedophile. Why do you think that is? Next is Stacey Plaskett. She's a U.S. congressman from the Virgin Islands. She's a former Trump impeachment manager, and she is caught texting Epstein during a live congressional hearing with Michael Cohen. Like, why is that? Why is she texting Epstein during an important...
She's a who former Epstein? Impeachment? Wait a minute. Did he?
congressman from the Virgin Islands. She's a former Trump impeachment manager. And
How could she be Trump impeachment manager and she's in the Democratic Party? Yeah, I told y'all earlier that it's a black lady that's in trouble. But he says that she's a former Trump impeachment. But she's a Democrat since 2008. So, how that work? And she's a Democrat. So we got Larry, who is a Democrat. Well, he worked up under Clinton.
It shows that
I'm
he
sorry.
sought Epstein's approval, complained to Epstein
Under
about
Bill.
women, and treated Epstein as a confidant. This
Then
is a
he
man
got
who
this
helped shape
other
USA
lady.
economic policy, and he was cozied up against a
She
convicted
is in
pedophile.
the
Why do you think that
emails.
is? Next is Stacey Plaskett. She's a U.S. Congressman from the Virgin Islands. She's a former Trump impeachment manager, and she is caught texting Epstein during a
What's
live
an
congressional
impeachment
hearing with
manager?
Michael Cohen. Like, why is that? Why is she texting Epstein during an important hearing like that? And Epstein was literally giving her real-time talking points and suggestions on questions to ask. This means we have a sitting U.S. lawmaker taking cues from a sex trafficker during a federal hearing. Strange.
So when did she become? Because this was back in what, 2016?
Dating.
Then you have Deepak.
Okay. Oh, Deepak Chopra. Oh Lord. Okay, so 2016. I'm trying to do the math on how was she helping him as a Republican, and when did she become a Democrat? Okay, let's go.
Texting Epstein during an important hearing like that. And Epstein was literally giving her real-time talking points and suggestions on questions to ask. This means we have a sitting U.S. lawmaker taking cues from a sex trafficker during a federal hearing. Strange. Then you have Deepak Chopra, world-famous guru and new age spiritual guru who Oprah Winfrey loves. And he sold millions of books in the
I
self-help
like
section. A lot of people
Deepak. I
follow
like
Deepak
the
Chopra.
Four
He shows him
Agreements.
cuddling up to Jeffrey
I love the
Epstein
Four
as if they're
Agreements.
friends, having friendly conversation, meaning that this network that Jeffrey Epstein has, it's not just involved in cultural and media, but there's also religious influencers that are caught up in this as well. I'm not surprised. And then I think one of the most telling one is Peggy Siegel. Check her out. She's one of the most influential publicists and event organizers in New York City. For decades, she's been known as the woman who organizes these massive Hollywood red carpet events, exclusive celebrity parties, galas, gatherings where billionaires, media executives, I mean the who's, the A-listers, the politicians, they all come together in these big old parties, and she's the one that organizes them. So if you want to get connected into the elite and social world of New York and Hollywood, she's the gatekeeper. And so in these emails that we have, the article describes her as interaction with Epstein as chummy. That basically means friendly, casual, like two people are a part of the
Shout
same
out to you.
circle. Friendly back and forth messages, invitations to social events.
Oh,
All
wow.
of it's in there, helping connect Epstein to more powerful people. What is the point of all this? How did Epstein get connected with A-list people? Probably through her. This wasn't a distant or formal relationship.
Weinstein.
She treated him like one of the other elite insiders.
That was Harvey Weinstein or Weinstein,
Crazy.
or whatever his name is. There you go.
Probably through her. This wasn't a distant or formal relationship. She treated him like one of the other elite
That's
insiders.
that Hollywood guy too.
Crazy.
The
He had
one,
access to
yeah,
powerful
the one that
people,
slept
powerful
with
politicians,
Guy Lane.
wealthy donors, A-list celebrities, actors,
Clooney.
international elite gatherings. He even had access to like people like presidents and royalty, people that had oil, people that like Harvard leaders, journalists, actors. I mean, all these people were connected to this pedophile. Why
George
was it?
Clooney.
How come this is the way? I mean, isn't this weird? Doesn't this make you wonder, like, what's really going on behind the scenes? See, Peggy Siegel did not run Epstein's operation, but she was connected and gave him cover, credibility, and access. So, in eyes wide, as I'd like to say in eyes wide shut terms, she wasn't the cult. She was a door into the world where it lived. Next, you have Michael Wolff, a high-profile journalist and author who wrote Fire and Fury about Trump. And in the emails, along with other New York Times journalists, they are all in there. People that are connected and help shape national narrative, interacting with Epstein like a friend, even after he was convicted in 2008. Prime ministers include contact with European leaders, Gulf oil elites, like I said, high-level Saudi, United Arab Emirates, Qatari finance and oil brokers. I mean, all these
The
people
one
are
that
in
was
there,
just at the
linking him
White House.
to a massive, powerful network that's not just American, but global. Now, I don't know if you've also heard about what was found in his safe that the FBI found. This also matches this movie, Eyes Wide Shut. Listen to this. Hundreds, maybe thousands of nude photos were found of minors. CDs labeled with names like as young, like plus, like quotes in young. CDs labeled miscellaneous nude 1, girls pics nude. Evidence of sex trafficking, blackmail, sexual leverage. This is not speculation. This is on FBI recorded inventory. It's exactly how the elites controlled people in Eyes Wide Shut, through what's called sexual compromise.
Please hit the like button.
Material used to control someone.
So quick summary of AI-assisted code review session. First, I'm going to sign in with GitHub.
There's a lot going on,
I see
y'all.
my
Oh my God.
This is biblical. God already told us this would exist. He says that the darkness likes to hide. That's why in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 11, the Bible tells us to expose the deeds of darkness. It says in Luke chapter 12, verse 2, that everything that's hidden will be revealed.
Absolutely.
Everything that's hidden is going to be revealed, but we have to expose this darkness. And this darkness isn't just on earth, but it exists in high places.
In high places.
Spiritual wickedness in the high places, like government, wealth, influence, but even higher in the angelic realms. Check out Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12.
Especially
It's
with this
all
fake
in there.
Israel.
And it's always been about lust and power and deception. And that's why 1 John chapter 2, verse 16 warns us about the lust of the flesh, the pride of life, and just the pride of this kind of living, is because that is what the elites, that is what, when your mind gets absolutely corrupted, that is what you go after. And lastly, Revelation 18 talks about a global Babylon system, a world network built on immorality, exploitation, slavery, wealth, and spiritual corruption.
All of that.
And this is what Stanley Kubrick was trying to say. This is what Epstein lived in, and this is what God has warned us about. So I'm here to tell you, my friends, let's not obsess over conspiracies. Let's not get caught up. The point is to have our eyes open to the spiritual reality behind this world, to not walk away from it or avoid it, because evil is organized, it's coordinated, and it's global, just like Scripture has said. And you cannot defeat darkness with knowledge alone. We need Jesus, the light of the world.
Absolutely.
And not walk away from it or avoid it, because evil is organized, it's coordinated, and it's global, just like Scripture has said. And you cannot defeat darkness with knowledge alone. We need Jesus, the light of the world. So my heart is for all of us to repent from our sins, to acknowledge the truth of what I'm saying and what the Bible has said all along. Read the Bible for yourself, because it will tell you to repent, seek the truth, which is in Jesus alone, and reject the corruption and all these lies that you're hearing, and pray for discernment, walk in the light, trust in Christ, and not a human power. He will change your life. He loves you, and he's calling this darkness out. We are in a time when the light is exposing the darkness, and we need to be excited about it. But we don't want to get caught up in conspiracy. Like I said, let's keep it simple, and let's chase Jesus and draw close to him.
Amen. What's your name, sir? Shout out to Truth Be Told. Shout out to Truth Be Told. Okay, so before I go, I think that's all I ran across. Now, look at this clown. Look at this clown. Ryan Stevens, Idaho, voter registration. an Idaho church volunteer who is affiliated with the Republican Party. Ryan Patania has been sentenced to a decade in prison for child sex crimes. There go another one, y'all. There go another one. And I think I put another one over here earlier today. But there go another one. Yeah, here. Florida MAGA supporter and coach has been sentenced to 170 years in prison for child molestation and producing child sexual abuse images featuring children as young as, oh my God, 2 years old. Two years old. Okay, let's get to, let's hear what she got to say. I'm sorry, I had to get caught up. I had a long day today. And, oh, that loophole. Let me hear that loophole. Let me hear what, we're not gonna listen to it all, but old girl was talking about a loophole that people are not talking about. I just want to hear it. Hold on. Eyes wide shut.
Self-serve as.
That's not it. Ooh, they getting beat up, y'all. Lord help us. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But thank God for the reveal. Thank God for the reveal. Thank God for the reveal.
Here's what the next chapter in the cover-up is going to look like. And you can base it on some of the latest reporting from friend of the show, Ken Klippenstein, over at Substack. The title of his piece, and I urge you all to read it.
Y'all get the likes up.
National Security
Double tap.
Epstein Files Release. In it, Klippenstein writes that the bill says that if the Attorney General makes a determination that covered information may not be declassified and made available in a manner that protects the national security of the United States, including methods or sources related to national security, the Attorney General, that's Pam Bondi, shall release an unclassified summary for each of the redacted or withheld classified information, as in the Attorney General would get to decide what to release and how to characterize it. So asked by an independent journalist, Michael Tracy, this is what Ken Klippenstein wrote, about a similar carve-out for national defense information in earlier legislation back in September, Massey's reply was basically that he had no choice, right? So similar provisions were written in previous legislation that Massey had commented on. Here's what he said. You have to put that in there if you're going to get them to sign it. It's not something I would sit and say, let's put it in there. It's something that when you run the bill past other colleagues and say, can you sign this? In fact, can you get every Democrat to sign it? It's one of those things, or one of the things, that was felt was necessary to put in there. And in addition to that, Axios reported just today that Trump's recent directive to the Department of Justice to investigate Epstein's ties to former President Bill Clinton, officials at JP Morgan Chase, and others may cause the files to never see the light of day.
Okay,
because they'll be part of a prosecution and investigation.
Now that takes away all excuses for mainstream media.
Why is this a national defense case? I thought it was just two random people that happened to be incredibly powerful somehow and got all the most powerful politicians and wealthy people in the world to go and get these favors and get taped and do all this incredibly sophisticated operation all on their own. So if that's the case, obviously it has nothing to do with national defense.
Can I give you a little more detail? Because this was also just published today. I forget the publication that published this. So, Alyssa, if you don't mind, can you just text me and let me know? So, the title is House Demands Epstein Financial Records from JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, and U.S. Virgin Islands. The House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform issued a series of subpoenas Tuesday, meaning today, for some of Epstein's financial records. Representative James Comer, chairman of the committee, issued subpoenas to JP Morgan Chase, Deutsche Bank, and requested additional documents from U.S. Virgin Islands Attorney General Gordon Rea. JP Morgan Chase began an internal investigation into accounts previously held by Epstein, flagging some 4,700 transactions as suspicious in the process. So my point here is, now the Epstein files are going to be part of an investigation into these banks, which, of course, that investigation will go nowhere. But as the investigation plays out, our federal government, the executive branch in particular, can basically tell us, buzz off, we can't release this information because it will, mess with our investigation.
Yeah, okay. So what's interesting, too, is there's no...
That's the loophole. I can't spend time here. But look at here. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord, Lord. Okay. Good people. Hey, thank you, Poppy, Jay. Well, AunTeaFee, I have to go now. Okay, you have a good night. Thank you for putting out the facts. Okay, before you go, Israel, the fake one, is funding a $3.2 million campaign to turn Christians into Zionists. Did y'all hear that? Israel, the fake one, the 1948 Rothschilds, is funding a $3.2 million campaign to turn Christians into Zionists. Is there... Show faith by works. You remember when Candace was talking about the faith? She said all of a sudden they started talking about faith. So here they go, going into scripture, playing show faith by works. The pro-Israel. Y'all remember when I said it looked like there's a pattern on those churches? So he said pro-Israel message through mega churches. Peter Pratt, Tim Tebow, Stephen Curry. Stay woke, y'all. Stay woke. They hopped off when they saw this. It was like 200 some people in here. I showed this. They hopped their asses down. Stay woke, good people.
After the House passed a bill to force the release of the Epstein files, Donald Trump showed us he is more...
Y'all see this? I need for y'all to stay woke. Even boxer Floyd Mayweather support this. And you know, y'all let me tell it. My motto is the reason why they is getting exposed is because they was playing with God with this fake Israel stuff. So now you finna try to trick them into faith by works. What to support this genocide. But you left off something. It says faith without works is dead. And that's not talking about, I mean, but you know, a lot of people get that confused. Yeah. Faith without the evidence of going through something, going through that long suffering that's a part of the fruits of the Spirit, that they wanted to change the word with these new and improved Bibles and take out long suffering. Although with that thorn of crowns on his head, it was long suffering. Yeah. And so the test of faith is coming out on the other end by letting God direct your path. So faith without the work, without the evidence of long suffering and standing through it, going through it by faith and trusting God instead of trusting yourself. But you're going to manipulate it, I see. Okay, you know, and I think I told y'all it was something about those mega pastors. I was only speaking about the ones in Dallas that stepped down for a particular reason. And then somebody mentioned Joel Osteen, and then Trump's, you know, his former mega pastor, he just went to jail. Yeah, and then the other ones, that lady, Paula, whatever her name is. We got to stay woke because they see, this was Charlie's mission, was to come at the Christians. I'm not Christians, but Christians vote. Yeah, I hope we see the play. And that's why it's important that we let people know that this new Israel, this fake Israel, 1948 Rothschild, is not biblical. They are trying to rewrite. I told y'all that they were trying to rewrite the Bible, Revelations. Okay, let's get to baby girl. Let's go. Wow, this is a wow for me. It's like, oh my God, oh my God. Let's go, Candace.
All right, you guys, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Y'all ready? Hit the like button, y'all. It's 204 people in here. And I know y'all playing with the like button as sleepy as I am. And y'all, I've been having on my little old glasses, my little old blue, my little old, what is it? Yeah, that blue stuff. Blue, right? I've been having them on. Y'all, are y'all still with me? Am I buffing? I'm buffing? Oh, y'all can still hear me. Okay.
Rob McCoy, America's pastor. Remember Charlie. All right, you guys, happy Tuesday. Rob McCoy, America's pastor. Remember Charlie told him. Charlie told me I was America's pastor. Well, it sure as heck seems that this American pastor travels to Israel a lot. You know, a lot of these American pastors do. And he went there the other day to, of course, honor Charlie Kirk. We're going to talk about that. And I wanted to say, Zionists are confusing at best. They say Charlie was their bestest friend forever and ever. Yet for whatever reason, they are deeply upset by this investigation. They are deeply upset that we revealed the license plate numbers associated with the Egyptian frequent flyers. Why do you think they're upset about that? I don't understand. Why would something like that upset them? It's almost like they know something that we don't. And we're going to figure out what that is.
I told y'all I had a problem with them constantly. I told y'all I had a problem with them putting that Christian Zionist stuff. I had a major problem
So
with
a couple
that.
of housekeeping items to start. My sister is an accountant. She hit me up this morning and she told me that actually the filing deadline, if you filed for an extension, which we can assume Turning Point did, was November 15th for this year. So their filing would have been due on Saturday, this last Saturday for Turning Point USA. And it is possible
November the
that
what?
they did file it on Saturday and maybe it's being processed. It would have been late beginning yesterday when we covered it. So I just wanted to update you guys on that. And of course, we will keep refreshing the IRS website and see whether or not that filing came through, since the whole world wants to see it. Anyways, back to our Zionist friends.
Thank you, Vicky.
And American Zionists are deeply bothered about the Egyptian plane. They're not concerned in the way that you think they would be. You would think that they would be, oh my gosh, thank you, Candace. We love Charlie so much. We're very concerned to learn that these Egyptian military planes were tracking Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk for years. What can we do to help? Gosh, we're right next door to them. We did a lot to Egypt. We actually control a lot and we surveil a lot in that state. Let us help you. Rather, their concern is that we revealed the rental license plates. These are real tweets from some Zionists. We've got Eyal Yacobi who writes, "This is what doxing looks like. These are unparalleled levels of insanity. This is truly dangerous." Oh, it's dangerous. So basically what doxing is, if you're not familiar with that term, is it's when you put private information up about an individual that can become identifiable. So like if I published your private address and then somebody could go to your home and harm you. That's what they're accusing me of. Erin Wexler, now this is the girl that was at the now infamous Hamptons retreat. She wrote this, back that up. Candace started her career by doxing teenagers. Old habits die hard. That is just so weird. I just thought the Hamptons people would be on this Egyptian thing, trying to help as best they could, but they're actually more concerned for these Egyptians who are renting a car, and therefore, since they don't even go here, like, why would this be identifying information? Are you concerned for, like, Hertz? Rent a car? What are you concerned about here? We're not clear. Now, going back to what we've learned about this flight thus far, I want to remind you that we have confirmed that this was a full flight over to Utah. This Egyptian flight, and I'm referring to BTT, SU-BTT, landed into Utah 6 days before Charlie Kirk's assassination. So we are looking at anywhere between 12 to 14 quote-unquote Egyptians that were on this flight and deplaned on September 4th, okay? A high government source actually reached out and made me aware, and this is stunning, actually, that we missed this common sense. I should have figured this out all by myself. But there is such a thing as federal protocol. They told me, this person in the State Department confirmed, that a foreign military jet actually can't just land on American soil without the federal government paying attention. It actually requires a federal escort, okay? Again, common sense. I don't know how we didn't think of this ourselves. Of course, if you're a military jet, you can't just fly into foreign land and hop off the jet and be like, okay, bye, just gonna do whatever I want. Of course, they're gonna go, hi, are we starting a war here? What's going on? So this person tells me that, of course, that cannot happen. The government is immediately aware that this military-equipped plane is coming in, and an escort is provided because they want to know where they are going, what they are doing. So the question now is, and maybe Kash Patel can help us answer this, just kidding, we know he won't, who were the federal agents that escorted these Egyptians off the plane, okay? Because they didn't just disappear into the ether. You guys knew they were coming in, and you watched them, and you knew what they were doing in Provo. And by the way, while we're checking in on these unanswered questions, has Turning Point mustered the courage to answer my yes or no? Circle yes or circle no. as to whether or not these Egyptian jets were known to Charlie. Because, like I said yesterday, it is highly plausible, highly likely that they were. He had a photographic memory, and he loved planes. He loved learning about military planes. He would have recognized that that was circling around him a few times while he was on the road and circling around Erica. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to make it very clear, yes, this is a conspiracy. It is a federal level conspiracy. It is likely an international conspiracy. Multiple countries seem to be involved, and I really hate to upset the Zionist crowd any further, because I know I'm like your fave, but we now have identified a fifth verified rental plate that we can now add to the Egyptian mix. So that's a total of 5 rental cars that were rented by Duncan Aviation that we can review. Also want to thank the many of you who emailed us yesterday and informed me that I apparently do not know the difference between the letter N and the number 9. I think I just was saying 9 or N every time I was reading these plates, which means I'm probably not qualified to be homeschooling my toddlers. Anyways, I was mixing that up. I'm not going to mix it up now. These are our 5 plates as follows. A white 2025 Toyota Camry. This had an Arizona license plate, and that number is CWN, like Nancy, 9872. Okay? Our second plate is a silver 2025 Toyota RAV4. That is a Utah license plate, and that number is T092ZS. Okay? Third vehicle that we have here is a white 2023 Toyota RAV4, another Utah license plate. The number is T912KM. And we have a black 2025 Toyota 4Runner, Utah license plate, and that plate is Z923DA. And we can now present to you guys a fifth car, which we know was rented. That is a gray or silver 2025 Toyota 4Runner, Utah, license plate number Z349AA. 5 vehicles which were secured by Duncan Aviation. Now,
before I met knowledgeable mentors who became friends, before my volunteer opportunities turned into...
Since I wasn't born yesterday, I feel pretty confident concluding that these 12 to 14 Egyptians didn't drop into Provo, Utah in the 6 days leading up to Charlie Kirk's assassination to fix like a broken light on the plane, okay? Again, my source there is me not being born yesterday. It's just not how it works. You cannot just get something very quickly fixed in a couple of days and be on your way. And like I said, they weren't even on the plane on the way out. They waited for that anchor plane, SUBND, the other Egyptian military plane, to take them back home. So what are we looking at here? What exactly were these Egyptians with the federal escorts doing on the day of Charlie Kirk's assassination? Well, in terms of some potentially interesting leads, many of you guys actually noted to us that the cars that were in the driveway in the now infamous footage of the alleged shooter, right, which was somehow distributed by TMZ, we don't know how that happened, should probably be investigated further, because that's a lot of cars in the driveway, and obviously every image that we have is blurred.
Well, somebody said
seems like we just can't get a clear image
they
at
had
all
a lot
in the
of
story.
visitors. I remember
and
that.
So we cannot, it's impossible to discern anything, but it's therefore possible that some of those cars that we are looking at could be the rented vehicles, right?
Oh,
maybe
wow.
the one parked on the right. There is the Toyota RAV4, maybe the two that look similar.
Oh, wow.
One that's dark, one that's lighter. Could that be the gray and the black?
Because one of those girls said that there were a lot of visitors the week
that perhaps Joe
or days
and Tulsi
before.
Gabbard, who are warring, or at least that's what the press said, warring with the FBI or warring with Kash Patel, could look into. Because this is Egyptian, okay? This is Egyptian. And I also want to add here something that I have always suspected that makes perfect sense to me, which would be the reason that UVU has denied every request, not just to release footage of the day of the assassination, but also to release footage of the days leading up to the assassination. Why? I think it's because the footage that we have seen,
hold on.
was recorded before September 10th.
Oh, wow. Y'all, I need for y'all to double tap the face of your screen. If you're using your phone device to listen in, or if you're on your computers, it's 3 dots at the top right. Can you hit those 3 dots and hit the thumbs up, the like button? Please like, share, and subscribe to our membership, to the Tea Palace. I would greatly appreciate it. But right now, I need the likes up, like thumbs up. Just double tap. It's free. It don't cost nothing, Poppy said, AunTeaFee. But I still got to get it in the algorithm, so let's go.
I always felt that in my gut. I always felt it was distraction. Person in the staircase, walking across.
I don't like that. Let me back up.
But at least that's what the press said, warring with the FBI, or warring with Kash Patel, could look into. Because this is Egyptian, okay? This is Egyptian. And I also want to add here something that I have always suspected that makes perfect sense to me, which would be the reason that UVU has denied.
Why is it off?
Every request, not just to release footage of the day of the assassination, but also to release footage of the days leading up to the assassination. Why? I think it's because the footage that we have seen, was recorded before September 10th. I always felt that in my gut. I always felt it was distraction.
Thank you,
in the
Janet.
Staircase, walking across the street in two different outfits. I just felt that some of this footage was recorded in the days leading up.
Thank you, Poppy, again.
And now that we know that those Egyptian planes came in 6 days before, 6 days before Charlie's assassination, it's possible that they could have staged some of that, which they eventually edited maybe a bit and released it to TMZ in that time frame. What we do know factually, and we don't have to surmise, is that there were eyewitness accounts. You may have lost, obviously a lot of stuff came out immediately, but what got lost in the fold was that there were eyewitness accounts of people having seen someone on that roof in the week before the shooting. This got buried in the press. There were students and allegedly a professor who reported seeing someone.
The week before? Was it the 3 guys? Oh, wow.
On the roof a week earlier. And I think we should try to track down these students. Of course, CNN, which ran this article, which I can show you here, didn't include their names, but here is the article. You can see it was published the day after the assassination, and it reads, Utah Valley University student recalls seeing man walking on or near the Lazi Center roof twice in 2 weeks. And from that article, it says, the student says that he last saw the person on the roof last Wednesday at noon, a week before the shooting. He told CNN that he reported his observations to the FBI tip line after the shooting, but he has not heard back. The student described the man as tall, skinny-ish, white dude with dark hair. He had a backpack on and was wearing dark clothes. He added that the man was looking down at the courtyard area where Kirk's speaking engagement was later. Okay, now here's what I did. I dug through all of our emails once I realized this and went, okay, maybe there's something here. We should probably look a little further into this. Let's leave no stone unturned. And I found, actually, that one of you guys had sent me a tip a while ago about this, and you had captured that recording. And I'm going to let you listen to this person's testimony. This is, by the way, taken on September 11th, so this is a day after the shooting. We didn't have much details a day after the shooting, and this individual is a student that is being interviewed by another student about what he observed in the aftermath. So it's a I think it's about a 3-minute recording. Let's listen to this observation because it could be important.
Do you think it was last Tuesday or last Wednesday? And recount the first time meeting him and recount the second time meeting me, what you remember. Do you remember like what time of day it was?
Mid-afternoon,
Your connections to the past are waiting. Get Ancestry DNA for only $39.
Now this is way too deep. All of it. All
We're
of
here
it.
to give you that styled feeling.
Yeah, I guess I don't remember the exact day. I know
Let me go back.
the second time.
Important.
Do you think it was last Tuesday or last Wednesday? And recount the first time meeting him and recount the second time meeting me, what you remember. Do you remember like what time of day it was?
Mid-afternoon, yeah, I guess I don't remember the exact day. I know at least the second time was last week, either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah. So last Tuesday and Wednesday, but they were on separate days.
They were separate days.
Okay.
It may have been both last week, Tuesday and Wednesday. One of them might have been like the week before Thursday or something. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't memorable and or significant enough at the moment for me to really remember.
What did he look like?
Skinny, tallish white guy. Had a like baseball cap on or some kind of hat, I think. Had a backpack.
Okay.
Dark hair, I think.
The guy.
Was he dressed in like dark clothing? Remember?
Yeah, he was.
He was. Okay. Or
Something dark.
is it similar to what was seen in the pictures?
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of why I thought of that when I saw the pictures.
Okay.
I guess I don't think I remember enough to really definitively say that the guy I saw is the guy in the pictures.
Right.
I just know I saw a guy wandering around on the roof, and the guy that I saw in the pictures looks similar.
But it was the same roof of the same building.
Yes. Well, I don't know exactly because it's the computer science building has this long concourse that connects to the Wazee Center.
Yeah.
My bet would be that that's how the shooter got onto the Wazee Center roof because that's one of the few ways I know of. I guess there's also a ladder on the other side.
As in that's how he.
Yeah, I guess I don't think I'd remember enough to really definitively say that the guy I saw is the guy in the pictures.
Right.
I just know I saw a guy wandering around on the roof, and the guy that I saw in the pictures looks similar.
But it was the same roof of the same building.
Yes. Well, I don't know exactly because it's the computer science building has this long concourse that connects to the Wazee Center.
Yeah.
My bet would be that that's how the shooter got onto the Wazee Center roof because that's one of the few ways I know of. I guess there's also a ladder on the other side.
As in that's how he got on yesterday or last week?
Oh, well, last time I saw it. And
Yeah, I need about
Okay, and you said
60
he,
likes.
jumped
It's
over the
290
fence.
people in here.
Around, there's this like concourse sticking out from the CS building that people are actually supposed to be allowed to walk on.
Okay.
And he walked over that railing and started wandering around the ledge.
Ah, okay. And facing which way?
He was totally looking out in the direction of like that fountain courtyard and out this way. The first time I thought it was a little weird, but didn't think much of it. Decided
I'm
not
not
to.
paying attention to what?
Right.
I just know I saw a guy wandering around on the roof, and the guy that I saw in the pictures looks similar.
But it was the same roof of the same building.
Yes. Well, I don't know exactly because it's the computer science building has this long concourse that connects to the Wazee Center.
Yeah.
My bet would be that that's how the shooter got onto the Wazee Center roof because that's one of the few ways I know of. I guess there's also a ladder on the other side.
As in that's how he got on yesterday or last week?
Oh, well, last time I saw it and he came off of there.
Okay,
but-
and you said he like jumped over the fence?
Yeah, there's kind of a railing around. There's this like concourse sticking out from the CS building that people are actually supposed to be allowed to walk on.
Okay.
And he walked over that railing and started wandering around the ledge.
Ah, okay. And facing which way?
He was totally looking out in the direction of like that fountain courtyard and out this way. The first time I thought it was a little weird, but didn't think much of it. Decided not to say anything, especially because another guy walked back. I think he was a professor. I know I've seen him around a lot more. And he comes from below and he shouts up at the guy. He asks like, "Are you okay?" The guy up there says, "Yeah, I'm doing fine." And the professor says, "Okay," and walks away. And I kept walking because I had work to do. I didn't really.
And that was the first or second time?
That was the first time.
And then what about the second time?
The second time, I saw him do the same thing. He hopped the railing, started wandering around.
Was he dressed in the same clothing?
Similar.
Okay.
I don't remember enough to say whether it was.
And it was the same guy?
It was definitely the same guy. That was 2 times.
Small business owners are do-it-yourselfers. When my business was new, I couldn't afford an attorney, but I needed...
Okay, so we were able to figure out who this student was. I don't know why CNN declined to publish his name, but I was able to figure out who the student was, and I'm going to chase down this lead, and I want to open up that possibility, because it is a possibility that the stairwell photo and the footage that we have seen of the shooter was actually recorded before the assassination. Of course, that's a possibility in the absence of quite literally anything verifiable that the feds have given us. Everything is therefore a possibility. So I want to also open this up because I don't want to just hear it from one student or CNN. I want to hear it from more students, right? That would be something that you would remember. We keep talking about what happened on 9/10. What about in the days leading up to 9/10? What about 9/6, right? 9/7, 9/8, 9/9. If you are a student and you saw someone up on the rooftop in the days or in the week leading up to the assassination, we want to hear from you. More tips at CandaceOwens.com, because every time I have tried to chase down the leads regarding the rooftop, I am brought to a military person, and I just don't know that any of that actually took place on the day. And I think that's why they won't release any more footage. There should be multiple angles, right? If this all happened on 9/10, there would have been multiple angles, and they sure as hell would have released it in the middle of a manhunt. When you thought that he could kill other people, you would have released more footage. And they're not doing that, which means they're hiding something. And something that they could be hiding could be nothing. It could be nothing that happened on that rooftop. Also, want to add on here that regarding the white RAV4, we got a lot of emails from the public that have noted that there appears to be what might be a RAV4 in every available footage that we have been provided by of the shooter. So we've only seen 4 pieces of footage of the alleged
They
shooter.
were scouting.
One, of course, of him walking in front of, I think this was the house that Phil Lyman was at. Yes, that's what we just discussed. That sure as heck could be a white RAV4. The second piece of footage being the TMZ released footage of somebody else in the neighborhood of him walking. Yep, that sure as heck could also be a RAV4. Footage number 3 is the footage of the alleged shooter pulling out in the parking lot, which was provided by Ryan Matta, that he chased down. Yep, that also could be a RAV4. And also, of course, the footage where he allegedly jumps off the rooftop. Many of you said it looked like there was a RAV4 pulling up. Look, yes, all of it's possible. Is it also possible that this is just a coincidence? Yes, it could be a coincidence. It also could be a conspiracy. We have to explore every lead because the feds are not. They are implicated in this cover-up. And this is how investigations work. You chase down theories, you posit theories, you chase down those theories, and you are open to being proven wrong. So that's what we have for you guys. Also, going to have a major scoop tomorrow about what's happening on the inside of Turning Point USA. I just want to triple, quadruple confirm, but we need to focus our attention on each and every plane that arrived in the aftermath of Charlie being shot. Planes that took off and arrived. I brought up one plane to you. We were able to determine that that plane that departed Scottsdale at 8 local time and landed at about 10 a.m. local time into Provo was owned by a Turning Point USA donor, T.W. Lewis. Actually, Turning Point USA is featured on T.W. Lewis's foundation website as someone that they fund. I'd like to know who was on that plane. That's interesting to me. If you know who was on that plane and you are a Turning Point insider, or maybe you were working in Scottsdale on that day at a terminal, we're looking for a plane again that took off at about 8 a.m. I want to know who's on that plane. That is of interest to me because it wasn't Charlie, and they got into Provo just ahead of the assassination, and it has to be somebody big. I don't think the students are flying around on private planes. It'd be great if that foundation, T.W. Lewis Foundation, could help us out. I don't think they will. For some reason, we keep coming up against the wall from Charlie's friends, but we want to hear from you. More tips at CandaceOwens.com. Okay, we're going to be right back because Turning Point is dropping receipts kind of, a little bit. We're going to talk about Blake Neff, who dropped a receipt, Brian Harpole, the security, who dropped a receipt, right after a few of our sponsors. Many people have been vilified for standing up for truth, and many people have felt the sting of...
Yeah, I worked too hard to research for me to have to keep asking y'all to hit the like button. I promise I do. Double tap. The quicker y'all double tap and come on with it, the quicker we can get this out the way. I got some research to do. These circles, they are running close and on top of each other. I mean,
Sports betting is here, Missouri.
Owens. Take my shift on the 24th. No.
ooh, they're asking for an apology
I can cover
from
calls today.
Trump. Ooh, they asked her for an
Well,
apology.
Turning Point USA is finally dropping.
They asked her for an apology.
Last time we spoke, that we thought we'd be
They asked him
here in
for an
this moment
apology.
on the verge of having the president sign this and it becoming law here in Washington.
Things accelerated quickly. Things don't move forever in Washington, D.C., and then all of a sudden they do, and that's what happened.
But 427 to 1 over in the House. It was unanimous in the Senate. Congressman, I'm asking for you as the Republican who led this, obviously bipartisan, but as the Republican who led this, what do you say to those members who for months refused to put their names on your discharge petition and then wound up voting for this today?
So he knows.
All that's necessary for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. And we had good men doing nothing for 5 months. And really our speaker was disparaging our legislation for 5 months. He ended up voting for it. And he could have saved us all a lot of trouble. He could have brought justice to the survivors here 5 months sooner if he just brought the bill to the floor.
Justice could have been brought 5 months sooner. I mean, there was one member, Clay Higgins, who voted against it. Have you spoken to him or heard why exactly he was opposed to this when every single other member of the House voted for it?
You know, Thomas tells me that he thought it was hypocritical for Speaker Johnson to be saying it's a bad bill, and then suddenly telling everyone to vote for it. But the important things here is the survivors. I mean, they had to come to the Capitol twice, once on September 3rd, when the story was dying, when the Speaker had shut down Congress, and they really caught the nation's attention. That gave us momentum. Look, we had to overcome the president. We had to overcome the cabinet. We had to overcome the speaker. We had to overcome the Congress being shut down. We had to overcome them not swearing in the 218th member of Congress. And the only reason it happened is that the survivors came twice, and then they came again today. And the powerful stories that they told.
Wow.
And the president ultimately saw that he was going to lose 50, 60, 70, even more votes. And he said, look, I don't want to do that. I'm going to sign it. He should have the survivors there when he signs it. That's the one thing I really think is important, because the president of the United States
He's still taking
should
it too long.
acknowledge what happened to these women and how they were raped, how they were abused. This is not a hoax. That would be such a powerful statement, and him saying that this Epstein class needs to be held accountable, they need to go.
Jenna Lisa, you're shaking your head yes when Congressman Khanna is saying that the president should have you and the other survivors there when he signs this bill.
He owes us that much. He owes us an apology, for sure. And I think that would be one way of showing some remorse for this drawn-out process that didn't need to be.
And you don't see this in a political way. I was listening to you this morning. You said you voted for President Trump, actually, but your plea was to stop making this about him and
not
to essentially start making
another victim.
For sure. And I think that would be one way of showing some remorse.
Voting for
They
him.
need to go.
Jenna Lisa, you're shaking your head yes when Congressman Khanna is saying
Why
that the president should have you
are they
and the
doing
other
that?
survivors
Oh
there
my!
when he
Why
signs
did
this
they?
bill.
Oh my God!
He owes us that much. He owes us an apology, for sure. And I think that would be one way of showing some remorse for this drawn-out process that didn't need to be.
I don't
You don't
understand
see
that.
this in a political way. I was listening to you this morning. You said you voted for President Trump, actually, but your plea was to stop making this about him and to essentially start making it about y'all.
Yeah, I mean, he really ran his campaign on this. This is why I voted for him. This release of these files has been so important to me for so long that when he ran with that, I really had some hope that someone was going to do something about it, no matter what the motive was, right, behind it, that he was going to release them and so solidarity with us. But then he completely flipped, and I mean, he was even
He
working
lied.
with our lawyers and stuff. So it was really hard to go from helping us to.
See, he was only working with your lawyers, that lawyer guy, because he was still mad at Epstein at that time. He was on Get Back until he had to make come up with a way to make him disappear. Yeah. Yeah. Especially when he found out that Epstein was talking behind the scenes. Yeah. So I can somewhat see it a little bit because he was working with their attorneys. So that's why that attorney that time said, I don't know why Trump is acting like he don't know anything. He helped us for the girls to win. He gave us information. So why is Trump lying? Oh my God.
Completely turning on us and then calling it a Democratic hox when he knew
slap
it
in the
wasn't.
face. Yeah.
So he thought it was just a political play.
Yeah.
He ran with that. I really had some hope that someone was going to do something about it, no matter what the motive was, right, behind it, that he was going to release them and so solidarity with us. But then he completely flipped. And I mean, he was even working with our lawyers and stuff. So it was really hard to go from helping us to completely turning on us and then calling it a Democratic hoax when he knew it wasn't. So he thought it was just a political play, and I think that was wrong, and I think that added fuel to the fire against both parties and where it didn't need to be.
When did
So
you
y'all,
think
how
that
can
what happened today on Capitol Hill
how
and
can
what the
he have worked with their attorneys and still act like he don't know anything about Epstein. He knows that people know. He knows this. He helped convict him. I still kind of think that he thought that because he was a whistleblower and a snitch, or whichever one you want to use, that his name will be redacted and that he would be a confidential informant. And he wasn't a confidential informant. And not sure if he got a plea, if he had got a proffer. I mean, because I think that if that was the case, that would have came out already, wouldn't it? But we gonna see.
The congressmen here have been fighting for helps put survivors back at the forefront of this.
I hope that's
instead
not the
of
loophole.
politics being at the front of this.
I think it's our best attempt yet, yes. And we are trying. I think today shows us that we are being seen and we're being heard. And if we can keep that momentum, then I think that's...
I am absolutely obsessed with what's inside this box.
I hope that's not the
literally my
loophole,
favorite
y'all.
thing to eat now. And I've
That's... yes.
Lisa, how are you feeling?
Thank you,
you've obviously
Poppy.
been very outspoken about this and talked about how important this transparency is for you as well. Do you feel like you're on the verge of finally getting that transparency?
I actually do feel that way. I started speaking out just because
Yeah, but he was a snitch. It wasn't both sides then. He had just won the first term. And that's why when Epstein said that if he told on either one, him or Hillary at that time, they would have to, almost forfeit the election. And at that time, he was just trying to get out of trouble because he knew Epstein knew him. And when Epstein threatened to expose him for funneling money, he snitched on him. He became an informant for the feds. Now, is that going to come out? I don't know. I know he knew. Oh, I wanted to have Wolf said, or Bannon, have they said that Epstein knew that Trump snitched on him. I think he suspected it, but I wondered, did he know? And at some point, it kind of changed on both of them. And I say that because when Epstein did his deposition, he was asked had he seen Trump interacting or entertaining minor girls or young girls, and he pled the fifth. And if he wanted to stick it to him, he could have at that time, but he didn't. So it almost sounded like then, at that time when he said no, or he pled the fifth, he knew that they was already working on an exit. Because he hadn't been in jail long. Thank you, Amar. Okacha, I guess. I'm sorry, I probably said it wrong, but thank you, Precious. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Yeah, because he could have, and then I think in Trump's, I'm going to hold off on him, but I know on Epstein, he pled the fifth because he said, although I would love to, I'm going to plead the first, the fourth, and fifth, or something he said.
Not through the same pain that we have, but couldn't find their voice. So I was trying to have the Kirk
Lisa, how are you feeling? You've obviously been very outspoken about this and talked about how important this transparency is for you as well.
You're welcome,
Do you feel like
precious.
you're on the verge of finally getting that transparency?
I actually do feel that way. I started speaking out just because I wanted to stand up for other survivors that have gone through the same pain that we have, but couldn't find their voice. So I was trying to have the courage and the bravery to stand up there to have that voice for them. And just like Wendy said, it just feeling validated, feeling seen, feeling heard. That's what we really wanted, was to stand up there and say, this happened to us, but what are we going to do now? And it's been a few months.
Brian,
It's been tough.
get out of here. Get out of here. You got your dates all wrong. Be quiet. You so slow. Oh my God, what is in? Do you know a mind is a terrible thing to waste? Do you, Blackburn? I mean, who is Trump? This is Trump. This is probably Trump not wanting to embarrass Epstein. Brian, tell AunTeaFee about it. Tell me when your mama first failed you. Where your daddy at? How did you find yourself in a cult? What happened to you? You ain't had no friends. You didn't have no loved ones. You didn't have anybody to pour into you. How did you end up in a cult? When did you find yourself? When did you find yourself in the cult? Are you pro-Israel? Yeah. Brian, do yourself a favor. Go get you some help. Go get you some help. Okay? Okay? Go get some help. And leave us alone over here. We got sense. Me and my tea sippers got a sense. You don't seem to have none. Go get you some sleep. And I'm sure you got real good insurance since you are a Trump lover. Go use your insurance. Go get your mental checked out because you slow as hell. Okay? Y'all say bye to bye, Brian. Yeah, bye. Go play with yourself. Go get you some sleep. And go talk to your mama and daddy if they got some sense. Go talk to somebody. Do you know the Lord? Do you know the Lord from the pardons of your sins? Have you accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Savior? Have you tried Jesus? I think you need to try him. I think you need to call out to him tonight. Okay? And you need to ask the Lord, Lord, what is going on with me that I would make excuses for someone who is a PDFer? Who he has paid off settlements for kids 11, 12, and 13. Or whatever you are, do you know Jesus? Have you asked him to forgive you and come into your heart and mind? Have you asked him to forgive you for following a pedophile? Because you would have to know that that is of the devil. So until you find Jesus, lose us over here. We don't want to play with you. But I'm going to pray for you that one day you may come into a relationship with Jesus Christ. I see you don't want to touch that, so I'm going to assume you don't know the Lord. And I ask God that he comes into your heart and mind and that you surrender unto him and ask him to forgive you of your sins. Okay? Bye. Bye-bye. Okay, let's go. Now, I need to tell y'all something. I mean, I'm just thinking of it now. I talked to Scooter today, and he was asking me, did I hear the good news about the young ladies. Lord, let me take off these glasses. And we was talking about it, and I was telling him, because he asked him about the people who believe in Trump, you know, how are they mean or what have you. So I was telling him about some of the things that I was telling the folk. And he asked me, and he was like, "Oh, that's not nice." Yeah, I know it's not. And then somewhere in that conversation, he asked me, well, how did he say it? In other words, what he was trying to say is, did I talk to them about God? Did I offer them the Lord? So shout out to Scooter for bringing that to me with all of my rhetoric, you know, in my entertainment. Before I let them go, offer them a chance to get to know Jesus Christ, the pardon of their sins. Yeah, especially if they are believing in Trump, even though they may not be a Zionist. Something ain't right. So shout out to my Scooter. Shout out to Scooter. Let's go. I'm going to have to tell him I did it and wasn't even thinking about it. Praise God. Let's go.
It's not easy to speak out about something of this magnitude. It just really isn't. But we feel good about it now. We've been really just excited all together when we got the news.
I hope you don't let them down.
The question is what happens now. Obviously,
I'm going to get back to Candace in just a minute.
But what are we going to do now? And it's been a few months. It's been tough. It's not easy to speak out about something of this magnitude. It just really isn't. But we feel good about it now. We've been really just excited all together when we got the news.
Well, and a big question is what happens now. Obviously, people really didn't expect this to go through the Senate as easily as it did. Passed with unanimous consent is the plan. President Trump said he'll sign it already. Do you have concerns, Congressman, that the Justice Department's investigations that he's ordered into the Democrats who were named in these emails last week could be used as a justification for not releasing everything that the DOJ has?
Well, first of all, what's going to happen next? The legislation gives the executive branch only 30 days to produce these files. And if they redact anything, they've got 15 days to explain and justify any redactions. So we drafted this legislation so that if it did pass, things would be on a fast track. And it is true that if they start investigations in one sort of silo of area of these Epstein files, they could block or delay. It won't delay it forever, but they could delay releasing those files there. But here's the thing, there are 1,000 victims, and there are so many perpetrators. They can't open enough cases to block all of the Epstein files and to protect all of these perpetrators. So even if they do these, seem to be partisan.
How many perpetrators?
That's another thing that bothers me. Block or delay. It won't delay it forever, but they could delay releasing those files there. But here's the thing, there are 1,000 victims, and there are so many perpetrators. They can't open enough cases to block all of the Epstein files and to protect all of these perpetrators.
So many perpetrators.
Even if they do these, what seem to be partisan investigations, that's another thing that bothers me about the announcement the president made is he named Democrats and things that he was going to investigate. These survivors are not partisan. They don't belong to one party, and the perpetrators aren't either. And so this shouldn't be about political divides. So I hope that was sort of a bluff, and I hope that the DOJ will release all the files. But even if they start investigations, they don't have enough investigators to block all the Epstein files.
Wow.
These are the Nuance Audio glasses.
You don't have
and
enough.
They're not just stylish; they actually help you hear better as well.
This is bizarre.
Crispy, juicy, perfectly cooked.
Enough investigators to block all the Epstein files.
Do you think it's a bluff?
Well, here's the good news when he signs the bill. He no longer is responsible. I mean, if he was trying to protect friends or donors, he could just say, look, my hands are tied. I have nothing to do with it. The Congress has passed this law. I'm not doing anything. and it's actually justice career officials who have to release the files, and they are going to be subject to a criminal prosecution or contempt of Congress if they don't, whether it's Trump or a future administration. So that's why this law is so powerful, and it actually can, if there was pressure on Donald Trump from his friends or donors or others, he can just say, look, my hands are tied. It's the Congress that's acted. So I do think it's going to lead to a release of a lot of the files.
Given how much the president tried to fight this, as he's on the verge of signing it, do you think he deserves credit for this tonight?
Well, people ask me, did he damage his image by what he did this week? I think he actually improved his image by what he did this week, and he has the potential to do that even more. He could invite the survivors to the White House for the signing. He could listen to their stories, and he could even preemptively release documents well before that 30-day deadline. So I do think when he
So he
told
has a
the
30-day
base, "You're
deadline."
no longer my supporters if you still want these documents released," he damaged himself. But he mended that a little bit this week.
Jenna, Lisa, how do you see that? Because one thing that the House Speaker Mike Johnson was saying was actually that they were worried that this bill would create more victims if it passed as it is written now, because other people will be named. They believe people may be falsely smeared as a result of this coming out. As someone who, as you spoke today so candidly about being, in the 9th grade, and you showed your picture of how young you were when all of this started, how do you view that?
Well, I don't know. Like, these politic things are so, I really don't know. I just want I think this is the right way to go about it. I don't think anything wrong with it. I think we've waited too long for the files, and that we just need to get them out. So I don't have an issue as a survivor.
Probably
at all
not.
With this bill. I don't think any of us that have stood up.
And
I don't think what he thinks could be smearing to someone else. I mean,
probably
a
not.
little bit of embarrassment because you hung out with the wrong person. I think we've suffered
It's
enough
more.
embarrassment.
I mean, I don't think that these people even realize how much more deeper it is than just hanging out with them. Let's get back to Candace. Yeah, it's way deeper than just hanging out with them. It's a whole political broham cult. They got a whole child trafficking, human adult pimping, and it's just a lot. And it's entertained or twined with foreign countries. There's another one of those. Yeah, it's just a lot. And I don't want to say worldwide. I don't want to say that, but it's a lot going on. And then just to even know that Bibi Netanyahu is trying to convert Christians. I knew that it was an attack also on Christians. But why they are trying to convert believers, I mean, I guess that's what the devil do. But they want to convert Christianity to devil worshiping. And he has a whole campaign, and he's tied to the mega churches. I know I just mentioned to y'all that there is something going on with these mega churches, because at least 3 of the pastors stepped down. I know I did. And I know let's finish this.
Some receipts. Kind of, not really, but it. Owens.
All these churches
Owens.
that has these
turning
freaky, nasty pedophiles. where Christians trust the church. Oh my God. Oh my God. And see, this also ties into me not understanding how supposedly chosen pastors, ministers, bishops were still preaching that this Israel was about land, two brothers, Esau and Jacob. And to me, hey, Pressure, yeah, but see, I didn't quite get why preachers was going along with the preaching that this what's going on was about two brothers. And that was not true at all. And right now, it ain't even about just land with fake Israel. It's about the genocide. But let's finish listening. Yeah, I just that kind of probably still bothers me. But to see that he is pushing the campaign $3.2 million, and he's using faith with our words. Because this girl kept saying, why all of a sudden they keep talking about faith? I wonder, does she know yet? Y'all remember she kept saying faith. And she said, faith in what? Faith in who? What faith? What is the faith? What is Turning Point USA faith? Y'all know she just said that the other day. And so for us to just see this, I just saw this today about him pushing this campaign to convert Christians into Zionists. And what did it say? Faith with okay, I don't want to say it wrong. I don't want to say it wrong. What did it say? Oh Lord, did I save it? Yeah. Let's finish this, because this is running too deep for me right now, and I'm kind of sleepy, but I know. And why is it coming out right now? Let's go.
Point USA is finally dropping some receipts. Kind of, not really, but it's more than we've received thus far, which is nothing, so it's something, and it's not at all what we were asking for, but again, I want to be optimistic, so at least it's something. First up, many of you guys pinged me regarding Brian Harpole, an interview that he did with Sean Bryan. Now, Brian Harpole is one of Charlie Kirk's long-term security members, team members. And on the day of the assassination, you'll recognize he's the guy that had the black strap. I don't know if we have a photo. He had a bag across him, and he was standing to the front right of Charlie, kind of looking out at the audience. You're going to see him in a second. He is the one who then runs over to Charlie, and again, you recognize him because he kind of has that small, supposed to be a medical bag over him. Now, I have not watched this interview in its entirety, but from what I have seen thus far, it is just not that convincing. For one, Brian offers up that the lack of security on the rooftop can actually be attributed to the UVU police chief, Jeff Long. Here is what he had to say.
On Monday before, this correspondence went to Chief Long. Hello, Chief Long. We received this message today from the student group. There is a student roof access pretty close to where CK will be set up at the Utah Valley. The Sorensen Center has a couple of staircases that go up to walkways on the roofs. He comes back, and for edification, the Sorensen Center was the building in front of the Lucy Center. And so he comes back and he says, you want access to the roof. And came back and said, I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well, if possible. He comes back and his last correspondence was, I got you covered. What else am I to do? When a command level,
wait a minute, so what?
On Monday before, this correspondence went to Chief Long. Hello, Chief Long. We received this message today from the student group. There is a student roof access pretty close to where CK will be set up at the Utah Valley. The Sorensen Center has a couple of staircases that go up to walkways on the roofs. He comes back, and for edification, the Sorensen Center was the building in front of the Lucy Center. And so he comes back and he says, you want access to the roof. And came back and said, I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well, if possible. He comes back and his last correspondence was, I got you covered. What else am I to do? When a command level person from an accredited police department says, I've got this area.
Own a vacation rental? If it's not listed on Booking.com, it's invisible to millions of travelers on our platform.
Please, please, pick me. Okay, you know when you're like in school and you gotta hold your hand up because you really want your teacher to see?
What else am I to do? When a command level person from an accredited police department says, I've got this area. Jeez.
Please, please, pick me. Okay, you know when you're like in school and you gotta hold your hand up because you really want your teacher to see you? I have an answer for what you could have done. You could have followed up because it's your job and Charlie paid you millions of dollars not to pass the buck. No. Also, you asked the police chief an either or question, and I'm just kind of like trying to understand the basic construct of sentences. He said, got you covered. What does that mean? It was an either or question. Either provide us access or get somebody up there. Got you covered means what? No follow-up? That's it? Millions and millions of dollars on his security annually, and you just said, hey, a student told us that there's a rooftop and it would be good if we could have access to it or if one of your guys could secure it. Got you covered. That's it. That's what Charlie was paying for? That's obviously absurd. That is not an answer that should be accepted by anyone. I am not blown away by that. I'm not going, oh, this is UVU's fault, okay? By the way, Jeff Long also has a very extensive military career. I obviously have been very clear that I believe that this was a military level assassination. Everyone on the ground that day, every witness for some reason, this is not a military academy, but everybody that we can speak to that's somehow involved has an extensive military background. I'm not interested in Jeff Long's participation in this, but Brian Harpole sort of laments the fact that he won't speak up and people are losing their jobs. On the basis of that answer, you should all be fired. Just on the basis of that answer, you didn't have it within you to go, let me follow up and make sure that's been secured because that's my job. Let me walk the path and see. The fact that a student told you and you didn't know that, shouldn't you have told the student? You shouldn't you have said to the student, hey, we're looking at a map because it's amazing, it's 2025 and there's this thing called Google Maps. So we're actually looking at a map and we see where Charlie's gonna sit and we're wondering about this roof. Could you let us know how we're supposed to access that? Why is the student and the chief leading the charge and not you when you are paid for executive level security? It is an unacceptable answer. Look, I've worked with Brian, nice guy. That's a ridiculous answer. He should be fired. And I'm going to guess he's not going to be, but he should be fired. Of course, he should be fired. Elsewhere, a student told you, and you didn't know that? Shouldn't you have told the student? You shouldn't you have said to the student, hey, Long also has a very extensive military career. I obviously have been very clear that I believe that this was a military level assassination. Everyone on the ground that day, every witness for some reason, this is not a military academy, but everybody that we can speak to that's somehow involved has an extensive military background. I'm not interested in Jeff Long's participation in this, but Brian Harpole sort of laments the fact that he won't speak up and people are losing their jobs. On the basis of that answer, you should all be fired. Just on the basis of that answer, you didn't have it within you to go, let me follow up and make sure that's been secured because that's my job. Let me walk the path and see. The fact that a student told you and you didn't know that, shouldn't you have told the student? You shouldn't you have said to the student, hey, we're looking at a map because it's amazing, it's 2025, and there's this thing called Google Maps. So we're actually looking at a map and we see where Charlie's gonna sit, and we're wondering about this roof. Could you let us know how we're supposed to access that? Why is the student and the chief leading the charge and not you when you are paid for executive level security? It is an unacceptable answer. Look, I've worked with Brian, nice guy. That's a ridiculous answer. He should be fired. And I'm going to guess he's not going to be, but he should be fired. Of course, he should be fired.
Faith is the
Elsewhere in
substance
the
of things
interview,
hoped for,
he
but the evidence of
responds
things
to
not
the
seen.
question
Faith
of why they didn't at
for
least
discernment
have
through the word.
drone coverage on that day since they have flown drones, many drones, at TPUSA events in the past. Here's his answer to that.
See, we got a trampoline for Christmas.
I'm thinking about the people that are called
your
to preach the
coordination with
word
you.
that is tied to the pro-Israel with the fake, with preaching, altering God's word because they are getting large donations from the devil. And people just trusting and believing in the word, go along with what he say. Oh my goodness, it's just a manipulation for me. A lot of wolves in sheep clothing.
I mean, did they offer any assistance,
Hi,
anything at all?
Danielle.
Yeah. Did you ask them anything? Absolutely. So we come in and we start looking at things immediately. Like, where are our risks? What's our risk assessment when we come in? That's why we get there. That's why we start doing the advance so early. We walk it. We build it ourselves. And so initially, I spent thousands of dollars on drones last year, and got the guy's license. But if the area lies in the Provo, Utah airspace, I can't fly it. That's a
In the where?
107B. We can't break the rules, right? And then you had secondary, and we start looking at things immediately. Like, where are our risks? What's our risk assessment when we come in? That's why we get there. That's why we start doing the advance so early. We walk it. We build it ourselves. And so initially, I spent thousands of dollars on drones last year, and got the guy's license. But if the area lies in the Provo, Utah airspace, I can't fly it. That's a 107B. We can't break the rules, right? And then you had secondary restrictions, probably due to heavy foot traffic for the school. But I can't go in and break the rules. There's laws for a reason. And so now the school could have flown drones, the PD, but they didn't have them, right? But Orem PD has a drone unit active and professional, and that police department, I will tell you right now, is awesome. They get it. They were there, they helped both on the soft side and the hard side. And so I started asking questions like, you guys have a drone unit? Yeah, good. Do you have an MOU or a mutual aid agreement with the school? And they're like, yeah. I said, did they call you and ask for assistance? No. I'm like, why wouldn't you call?
I think that's your job. Like, am I crazy? Or is that his job? Is it his job to call and to see things through if Charlie's paying him for executive level security? Like, is this how these assassinations happen? Is that what's happening even like at the White House level with the Thomas Crooks thing? Is that what happened? Like, Secret Service just called locally in Pennsylvania and was like, hey, that looks like trouble up there. Could you maybe get a guy up there or let me know, or if like whatever? And then they were just like, yeah, sure, gotcha. And they just figured it was accomplished. I don't accept any of that. You shouldn't accept any of that, nor do I find him to be convincing, right? The vibe I'm getting from that interview is dishonesty, okay? I'd like to see more of your conversation, not this screenshot. It doesn't prove anything other than that you started a conversation about the rooftop, that you were aware there was an open rooftop and didn't follow up in some measure. And so it's a little bit ridiculous to be passing the buck. So thank you for the receipt. That wasn't actually a receipt. Next up, we have Blake Neff. Obviously, you guys will recall Blake Neff was the Turning Point USA employee that was standing directly next to supercalifragilisticexpialidocious Mikey McCoy when the shots rang out. And he, Blake Neff, has similarly decided to drop a receipt. This happened, I think, actually last week, of his actions on that day. Now, to jog your memory, he offered up a pretty strong defense of the magnificent Mikey McCoy, who he says had a quivering lip. And I'm going to let you listen to Blake's account of that day again as a reminder before we get to his receipt. Take a listen.
Hey, Pressure, I didn't speak.
Trust
I'm sorry, I didn't speak.
Cooking leads to bad things, like some sodas who cook the flavor
Sorry.
out of their ingredients. Popwell doesn't cook. It's cool.
The shooting occurs. I am next to Mikey. Both of us hear a loud crack. We both turn. We both see Charlie, who has been shot. Both of us, I think at about the same time, realize that that means there is a shooter who is on the scene. And, you know, you just hear the crack, so you don't know, did it come from far away? Did it come from close? Is there a mass shooter unfolding right now? So I and him both had the reaction of, let's get out of here before we are both shot. That is not us abandoning Charlie. Charlie had a security team. They all leapt immediately into action, and they got Charlie out of there, which was what their job was to do. My job was not to get in the way and screw this up because, like, I had to be
Screw what up?
That was not my job. I remember even running past, both of us going past the, you know, the SUV that we came in on, and me thinking, should I get in that car? And then thinking, no, that's a really stupid thing to do. And then I kept going. So I was not with Mikey, or I don't remember being with him. I think I was ahead of him as we left. And then we get out, and I run for, can't have been more than 15 or 20 seconds. And then I realized there hasn't been another shot, so the shooter has likely been detained or stopped or something, not in immediate danger. I pause, I look around me, and I see Mikey. And I see Mikey there. And truthfully, I will never forget what I saw, because I've seen Mikey almost every day for the past 2 years. I know his personality very well. He's a very bubbly guy. He's a very happy guy almost all of the time. And I'll never forget what I saw, because it was clear in the moment that he was profoundly freaked out. What I'll always remember is the way his lip was quivering, which I'd never seen before. And you very rarely see from someone that he was freaking out. And then I think he literally said to me, I might be imagining this, but I think what he literally said was, he was looking around, and then he says, I need to call Erica. And then he takes his phone, and he begins calling Erica, and I don't want to disclose how that call unfolded, but
Who he talking about? I'm doing. He not talking about Mikey, is he? Hold on, let me.
I think I was ahead of him as we left, and then we get out, and my job was not to get in the way and screw this up because, like, I had to be a hero. That was not my job. I remember even running past, both of us going past the SUV that we came in on, and me thinking, should I get in that car? And then thinking, no, that's a really stupid thing to do. And then I kept going. So I was not with Mikey, or I don't remember being with him. I think I was ahead of him as we left. And then we get out, and I run for, can't have been more than 15 or 20 seconds. And then I realized there hasn't been another shot, so the shooter has likely been detained or stopped or something, not in immediate danger. I pause, I look around me, and I see Mikey. And I see Mikey there. And truthfully, I will never forget what I saw, because I've seen Mikey almost every day for the past 2 years. I know his personality very well. He's a very bubbly guy. He's a very happy guy almost all of the time. And I'll never forget what I saw, because it was clear in the moment that he was profoundly freaked out. What I'll always remember is the way his lip was quivering, which I'd never seen before. And you very rarely see from someone that he was freaking out. And then I think he literally said to me, I might be imagining this, but I think what he literally said was, he was looking around, and then he says, I need to call Erica. And then he takes his phone, and he begins calling Erica, and I don't want to disclose how that call unfolded, but he did that, your mind extends all of this, but that is happening within a minute of all of this occurring. I remember he calls Erica, around the same time, I pull out my phone and I call my mom just to say, Mom, there's been a shooting, you're going to see it on the news, I'm okay, pray for me, I've got to go. And I remember that call, and around the time I put that phone away, and then he immediately calls his dad, he calls Rob McCoy, and he says, Dad, someone shot Charlie, you need to call all of your pastor friends, Charlie was hit, we need everyone to pray right now. And that's what he told him, and I guess it's very disgusting for me as someone who witnessed this, who saw Mikey hugely distressed,
So he
and then
lied.
step up in the moment, because after that call was over, I saw Mikey get total mastery of himself, that he realized he had to step up in this situation, and he, from that point, it was like he was like a general director.
Yeah, he's a general. We know he's amazing. We love him. He's just the most magnificent thing I've ever seen. It's stunning, it's brave, it's everything. It's every adjective I ever knew, and more. What's interesting there is that Blake Neff then had a back forth with somebody on X. And I want to be clear, I actually don't think Blake Neff is in on the corruption here. I don't know why. I just never gotten that vibe.
Well, why
I
is
think
his
he believes
story
what he's
different?
saying. And like I said, he is telling the truth as far as I can tell. Vibe check, right? But what's interesting is he allows us to now date, or rather put some time markers here on how long the phone call was between Mikey and Erica, right? Because he drops a receipt on X. He's having a back forth spat with somebody on X a few days ago, or a week ago, I don't remember. And he decides to drop his call log with his mom, or rather a screenshot of the call that he had with his mom. Now remember, Blake is in Arizona now, so this is going to say 11:24. It's supposed to be obviously 12:24 Utah time. We can show you that. You can see he calls his mom, and the call is 45 seconds long, and the call begins at 11:24. So a story that he tells us is he's running for 20, 30 seconds, however long he said there. It's not long. He stops, catches his breath. He sees Mikey. Mikey's got a quivering lip. Mikey looks at him and he says, I've got to call Erica. And he says, Mikey calls Erica, and then I call my mom. And when he terminates the phone call with his mom, he says, Mikey then called his dad, right? That's the next thing that happens. It's a very short phone call, right? That allows us to at least get a sense of how this ran. Because he's now confirming, he called her first. Charlie was shot at 12:23, right? So these are back-to-back phone calls. It actually, if it happened this quickly with this receipt, it's possible that Rob McCoy did think he was the first person that was called. Because Rob McCoy is getting called at 12:24 or 12:25. This is all happening within 2 minutes, right? These phone calls are flying within 2 minutes, right? That means when he terminates that call, it's what, 12? When you start a phone call, Mark, you can chime in here and mansplain if you know the answer. When you're looking at his screenshot there, is that telling us when the call began or when the call terminated?
It's when the call is initiated.
When the call's initiated. So it's possible 45 seconds later, he's now in the 12:25, and now Mikey's calling his dad. That's very interesting. That's just another data point that we at least have there. Moving on to the pastor, America's pastor, Rob McCoy. I just think in general, by the way, I want to give a shout out to Calvary Chapel, because I knew nothing about Calvary Chapel before this investigation. These pastors are doing the absolute most. I have never seen such an obvious and naked propagandist campaign in my life than me exploring the Calvary Chapel church movement. So America's pastor Rob McCoy was in Jerusalem on November 16th, apparently, a couple days ago. He was at an event. It was built as a celebration of the life of Charlie Kirk. And what better way to celebrate the life of Charlie Kirk than to take questions from the audience about, you guessed it, Tucker Carlson and Cameron Owens. Take it away, Israel.
Wow.
250 years ago, a promise was made to connect families and friends near and far. How?
We see people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, and these people are essentially trying to hijack the Christian message and spread an anti-Israel message in the name of Christianity. And they're perverting this Judeo-Christian brotherhood and ethic by essentially promoting Jew hatred, but putting a Christian label on it. What can we do to push back? And what can the church do to be able to just completely repudiate that kind of dishonesty and perversion of what Judeo-Christian values truly are?
That's a great question. We've gotten into this situation with that generation of young people because they have all been raised by Caesar, and we're wondering why they become Romans. We have abdicated our public school system to secularism. And it's the red-green revolution, where you take away with secularism the moral foundation, and then you come in with whether it be Islam or ethno-nationalism, because we've gone through critical race theory, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We've taken white males and put them at the bottom of the totem pole. We've mocked them and embraced the stupidity. And now we're upset that they feel as though they've been, relegated to obscurity, and now they're signing on with these awful directions in life.
So it's interesting to think about them discussing how we need to be re-educated again, kind of like the Robert Maxwell campaign, like we had to have the Holocaust education. And I want you to imagine a world where Calvary Chapel churches get to decide how we're educated, because somebody sent me an actual magazine that they have. Again, I'm new to the Calvary Chapel thing that's happening. I knew they were behind a lot of the attacks against me and Tucker Carlson this year, but I hadn't realized that how, like I said, naked and propagandist this is. This is this month's issue of Calvary Chapel magazine. Apparently they have their own magazine, and this is not parody. This is Judeo-Christianity. This is the cover of Calvary Chapel magazine from this month, and it says, "Stand with Israel." It tells the story of surfer to shepherd. I guess that's somebody's story. And then you have there a subtitle. I guess we're going to be able to read this article in there. "Why Jews Are Hated." You go to your church on Sunday, and this is what they are handing out. Now, the person who sent me this then showed me what was inside, which is even more amazing. Here we go. Here we are learning about Christianity. Oh, actually, it's a photo of IDF soldiers wearing yarmulkes coming home. And it has a quotation here that said, "God began to paint a prophetic portrait of the Messiah." I just want to know
what in the world is going on?
I don't know. I was asleep. I didn't know this was going on. I didn't understand that this is... They have so many mega churches everywhere across America. And they basically exist to convince Christians to worship the IDF. I just find that to be quite strange. Let me know if I'm out of pocket here and you really think that this is not propagandist and that you're learning Christ's message when you line up and you get handed stuff like this. I don't know. I just feel like that for me is something that we need to talk about more, because it's pretty obvious what happened here. And of course, Bibi Netanyahu was involved in the Calvary Chapel churches. We're going to get to that tomorrow. His relationship with Bob Coy, not to be confused with Pastor Rob McCoy, but Bob Coy, the one from Fort Lauderdale, who got into a little bit of a scandal with sexual abuse. Again, we'll get into that tomorrow. Before we get into comments, when we get into comments, rather, I'm going to tell you, finally answer that question, that lingering question when I told you I would find out what was the name of the donor that similarly freaked out and spazzed out when Charlie let Tucker Carlson speak on stage and took $1 million away from Charlie. I'm going to tell you who that donor was just after a few more sponsors. All right, you guys, I think we all know
Lord,
now
this
the
is
biggest
just
health
so
secret
much.
that is not discussed
All
often
at
is
the
that everything
same time. Please hit the
use
like
promo
button.
code Candace. Also reminding you guys about Nimi Skincare because you've heard me speak a lot about Nimi. I love what they're can trust. So head to nimiskincare.com. Use my code Candace10 at checkout and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Again, that's NIMI skincare.com.
Thrive Cosmetics Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara gives you the look of professional lash extensions, whether your daily routine is...
So we all know, of course, that Charlie's dear friends, the Zionists and the donors who love Charlie, lost their ish at the Turning Point USA SAS event last July when Tucker Carlson hit the stage. And Charlie told Tucker Carlson to go max. Tucker Carlson went max, and by max I mean just said like basic American principles, like we shouldn't be worshiping Israel, that the Epstein files should be released, and that obviously our relationship is not America first with Israel. And that caused a donor meltdown. It was like a last straw. We have showed you the data points. We have showed you the timeline. That's where things start to get a little dicey with Charlie. And I think it's very relevant. Anyways, I had mentioned to you that there was, because everybody's mic'd up. I told you all this was mic'd up. Obviously, Megyn Kelly happened to have that footage, but they have that footage with like full clarity of exactly what Charlie said to Tucker Carlson. And they have the footage of the donors who freaked out. At least the audio of the donors who freaked out. I told you about a woman who yelled and took away $1 million because of the Tucker Carlson speech. That woman was Joyce Chernick. Joyce Chernick is married to Aubrey Chernick. He's a software tech billionaire guy. They fund a variety of pro-Israel causes through the David Horowitz Foundation. So that was another donor who went, bye-bye, Charlie. How dare you let Tucker Carlson say things. Also reminding you guys, if you'd like to support us, Make Him a Sandwich is available. You can go to makehimasandwich.com. If you'd like to pick up a regular copy, we also have we have signed copies at CandaceOwens.com. We also have new merch on the website, plus our Black Friday sale is active. You can use code BLACK20 for 20% off. That's store-wide. It does not include books, and that runs through to Cyber Monday, so do not miss out. And reminding you guys that book club this week is going to be on Thursday.
Okay, y'all, I'm gonna go to sleep. I will catch y'all later on in.
That we bumped it to
Well, hold
6
on. Let me
o'clock
see what she about
Eastern
to say.
on Thursday. So no book club tonight. We'll have it at 6 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. Top comment from yesterday's episode is from Abby Sloan. She writes, I don't think they realize that if Candace had an audience of one, she would still be doing this investigation. Amen. Yes, I would still be doing this investigation. And sometimes these investigations do have to be done with an audience of one. Definitely a lot of times in the past, before people were more dialed in to the fact that there is something tremendously evil going on in this country. And our feds are not interested in discovering that evil because they are a part of the evil. I think we all accept that. Not just in this country, worldwide, right? There's something about the Charlie Kirk assassination that we spiritually already recognize has international implications. That's very clear. And it will become more clear in the coming weeks as I continue to roll out information. We don't do everything very quickly because this is a game of cat and mouse, and we need to know where the snakes are. We need to know where the rats are on the ship, and there are a lot of them. And we are getting closer. I think I can confirm to you guys that there is mass panic over this show. I guess they thought they were going to get away with it. They were hoping that they had successfully fostered this ADHD culture where people are just unable to pay attention to anything, right? Not even like a Netflix show can they pay attention to long term. So they were hoping, okay, we're going to do this thing at the Staples Center and then move on from it. And actually, it turns out the world is focused and they're locked in. And the feds are not going to get away with it. That is what I can say. They are not going to get away with it this time. Okay, getting into your comments today, Jennifer writes, it's official. I am a conspiracy theorist. Ask questions, seek the truth. Thank you, Candace. We don't know, but we know. Why
We
follow
don't know,
Erica,
but
who was on
we
the
know.
planes? We're being lied to, and I don't like it. I am glad that CK has you to ask the right questions and get some answers. Yeah, I saw a lot of you guys in the chat asking why these particular planes were following Erica. I have an indication as to why. Of course, I want to thoroughly vet that and to make sure that I ask the right people to confirm the things that we are looking at. But I have an indication as to why that may have been. Just common sensing it, writes Rep. Massey, Green, any Republican or Democrat representative that is watching, please put forth a bill to end foreign and domestic lobbying. It's the only way we have a shot at a government that does not put foreign and big corporation interests before ours. Yes, you are correct. Don't forget that when JFK tried to put an end to that, I guess rather put an end to the Israel exception that we now have by making them sign up and acknowledge FARA, to follow the FARA, they shot him. Who is they? Who is they? I don't know, but it ended up being reversed. So we should not accept that. We should not accept lobbying full stop, but we certainly shouldn't accept this sort of Israel exception, which is they do not have to certify anything under FARA. Obsessed sports rights. If the planes are truly from the Egyptian government, would that mean their passengers and cargo would have diplomatic immunity and allow them to do illicit activities, espionage, weapons, trafficking, etc., without much oversight?
They was just at the White House.
You are on the right track. Certainly, there are a lot of implications with why this plane would be allowed in and the federal government would escort it, and then everyone would play dumb when Candace mentioned this flight being on the ground. It's interesting. Definitely more questions than answers, but we will have answers for you guys. Kayla Ferris writes, several people said there was a lot of vehicles at the home of the alleged shooter around the week before the shooting, right? That's another tip. You are correct, and I should explore that. They all said it was strange because they never had company over. You are absolutely correct, and I can try to hunt that down and see what I come up with for you guys tomorrow. Renee writes, talk to the neighbors. They were complaining about many cars parked at residence. Possibly Ring cameras will show the footage of those vehicles. I would imagine Cash has taken everything. They were making sure that they had secured everything under the guise of trying to discover who murdered Charlie. Obviously, they were cleaning things up, but we can try. If you guys have footage, that would be great. Again, we want to see the days leading up. So relevant time frame would be from 9/4 up until 9/10, looking for these vehicles, these 5 vehicles that we have now shown you. L. Hodges writes, I find it insane how influencers, Tim Pool, were speaking up against you regarding Turning Point USA and you no longer being invited to AmFest. Apparently he said something hurtful and they said he can't go. Weird. I am not following what Tim Pool has been saying. I know that he was he always kind of throws shade about me investigating things. I did see a clip on X that when we started this investigation of him saying people were doing it for clicks, which is just, I have no response to that. It's just, I can't think of more things that were done for clicks and for money than selling t-shirts of what he died in, making $70 million. I have not sold anything with Charlie's face or Charlie's name. I have kept up my job, which was always investigating, as I've been doing this entire year, the last 2 years. Authentically Magnetic writes, wild how Candace stays 10 steps ahead while everyone else is still reacting to yesterday's news. And I can't win with these people. They say,
Thank you,
I have
Maria.
no proof, and I present proof, and they accuse me of doxing. They say I have no proof, and then I drop the text messages, and they're like, how dare you share the private text messages?
She's not playing at
They're
all.
just lying. They are lying, and I am telling the truth. That's it. That's what's happening right now. Twins versus Twins writes, can we get a book that is not signed? Yes, MakeHimASandwich.com has the unsigned books. MakeHimASandwich.com has the unsigned books. Hope that helps you out. And you guys, thank you. Again, we're working on a very, very big lead tomorrow that I believe.
Okay, y'all. That is it for tonight. I will see y'all later on in the morning. Y'all get you some sleep. Thank you. 241 of you are still in here, hanging in there with me. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Hopefully, we will have some justice soon and healing as well for the victims. And hopefully, the truth will come out. All of it. I mean, not just in this regards, but spiritual warfare, and I'm just put it that way. It's just blowing my mind. But y'all have a good night. Some justice and healing, absolutely. Good night, Naturally New Orleans. Y'all sleep tight. I am wore out. Whoo. Okay, good night. Bye, Sapphire. Good night.